Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to all our guests present here today. And I'll be your MC for today's program. Across Nepal, farmers, cooperatives, and agri-enterprises are demonstrating tremendous potential. Yet many promising ideas struggle to grow because of limited access to finance, markets, and strategic partnerships. Today's gathering is about addressing that challenge. It brings together policymakers, investors, financial institutions, development partners, and practitioners to explore how we can unlock greater opportunities for inclusive agricultural growth. On behalf of Heifer International Nepal, ANDE, Oxfam, and SAFAL Partners, I'm delighted to welcome you to Seeds of Change, catalyzing inclusive finance and private sector partnerships for Nepal's agri-enterprise ecosystem. Today, we bring together diverse stakeholders to explore how collaboration can strengthen inclusive finance, accelerate investment, and create new opportunities for Nepal's farmers, cooperatives, and agri-enterprises. We are honored to have representatives from the government, financial institutions, development organizations, cooperative networks, the private sector, and farmer groups with us today. Your presence reflects a shared commitment to building a more resilient and investment-ready agricultural sector. With that, let us officially begin today's program. Now, I would like to kindly invite our chief guest, Mr. Ramu Paudel, Executive Director of Bank Regulation Department at Nepal Rashtra Bank, Vice President of Asia Programs at Heifer International, Ms. Neena Joshi, Dr. Tirtha Raj Regmi, Country Director of Heifer International Nepal, to take their seats. I'd also like to kindly acknowledge our development partners, banks, private sector, private companies, and delegates from Bhutan who are present here today. Now, to set the stage for our discussions, it is my pleasure to invite the Vice President of Asia Programs at Heifer International, Ms. Neena Joshi, to deliver her opening remarks and share the vision behind this important convergence.
Good afternoon, all, and welcome. So there has been back-to-back events. So a lot of things that we bring in these sessions might be a repetition of the last sessions also. The Seeds of Change, catalyzing inclusive finance and private sector partnership for Nepal's agri-enterprise ecosystem. This is again another series in an effort to grow the agri-enterprise ecosystem in Nepal. So, and many of us have been a part of the earlier session, and we saw like how the farmers who were very far behind and who were scattered, and primarily women farmers, that's what we saw in the last session, who were very scattered behind and who had just like engaged themselves in their household chores. And that's how most of we women are tagged for. So that journey, that effort to bring them out of their household chores and to the public space, helping them to organize, and then helping them to realize that they are an active member of the entire agri ecosystem. So that took us quite a while. So, but like what we saw this morning, it is a proof of concept that when there is enough work that's done around to inspire these women to see what potential they have, and then create an ecosystem around them for them to grow and prosper. We did see that the pitching from the 7 cooperatives that happened this morning was, for me personally, was a mind-blowing experience, because I've journeyed with them from their role within the household to a space where they own an organization which has a multi-million like portfolio in their balance sheet. So that is one space that Heifer has been focusing on, to bring these farmers, primarily women farmers, to help them understand what potential they do have within themselves first. I think that's one of the most fundamental things. So because the trust starts from yourself. So you need to trust yourself and believe that you can. So I think that has been one of the most fundamental impact that Heifer has been able to make. All the farmers, primarily women farmers that we have engaged, we have successfully helped them to figure out the potential within themselves, how great they are, what potential they hold. So that's why these women that we met this morning, who are struggling to deposit like 50 rupees as is a savings group, now have traveled a journey where they own a multi-million rupees enterprises. So that's one part, and Heifer has done that successfully. We are very proud to say that, bringing women farmers out of their home, bringing them into the other variety of social interactions, helping them to be a key player on the economic growth, and primarily own a lot of rural growth enterprises that has been successful. But I mean, as we stand here, we see that this ecosystem is way larger than that. We are not only talking about a handful of women or several hundred or several thousand women that are in this process of growth. So that's why we are making a step beyond that, not only working with women farmers and their organizations, but looking at the entire ecosystem. So there's a lot of conversation that came this morning about who are the ecosystem players and what role they have. So I believe that this session that we are having here is again a beginning of many such discourses that needs to happen, where we talk about what is that enabling environment, what is that ecosystem that needs to be built so that these women farmers or farmers in general, smallholder farmers in general, can make their strides more confidently. So again, and I'm again going to remind ourselves about, again, and this is going to be a lot of repetitions of what we talked about this morning, but again, I think it's important enough and to repeat again and again. So when we talk about farmers, they are producers. They just don't only require support. So the way we look at farmers are, I think, from the lens of producers. They produce, that's why we have food on our table. If they don't produce, we will not have that. So I think that is something that we need to be reminded every single day. Whenever we eat, with the connection of the food, I think it's important for all of us to remember the hands and the effort and the struggles these food producers are putting together. I think that will also help us make right choices when we eat and what we eat. So in this larger ecosystem of agri-enterprises, we all are consumers. I think that's the first element of the entire agri-enterprise ecosystem. We all consumers, because the choices we make will be critically determinant around what market we drive, what food the producers are going to produce. So that's one. So let us all take that liability of making connection to the food we eat and appreciating the hands and the challenge and the effort the food producers will make. So that's one. So it doesn't end there. It's not only the food produced by smallholders only doesn't nourish us, but it also nourishes the planet. Because we have seen a lot in this effort to bring efficiency in production, because the mouths that needs to be fed is growing. We have focused a lot in efficiency of production, where we've started to use a lot of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and we've already seen the damage that has been done. So it's extremely important for us also to recognize that the food we demand will also be detrimental on like what kind of production the producers are going to make. So the prudent use of these external inputs is also another aspect that we can actually influence with the choices of food that we make. So that's at the level of us, all of us as consumers. But there are other ecosystem players that has to come within the room and understand how this entire food system works and delivers. So again, like coming back to the farmers and the food system equation, we have seen that though farmers take the biggest risk in their farm enterprises, feeding us and nurturing us and nurturing the planet, they are the ones who are most rewarded in the whole food system. So again, I mean, this is the same thing that we talked about in the earlier session, is the ecosystem needs to be built in such a way that the most important players in this food system, the producers, need to be rewarded appropriately for the challenges that they take, the effort that they make, the risk that they take to feed us and nurture the planet. So I think the whole debate around this agri-enterprise ecosystem is hinged on that. So the farmers need, this food system needs to transform. And in this effort of transforming this food system to a resilient food system, this has to be led by the farmers. So that is a voice that we would like to bring in the room wherever there is agri-enterprises, farming, rural development conversation happens. We really have to, like, as consumers, we need to connect with the food we eat and respect the hardship that goes around that producing food. And in the same time, if you look at the whole ecosystem, the investors, the off-takers, the policymakers, and many others in this ecosystems, like we need to be reminded that these smallholder farmers are one of the most important players in this entire food system. And the way we build the ecosystem, the way we perform our role as a financer, as an off-taker, as other supplement services that we provide in the food ecosystem, and eventually as consumers. We have a liability, we have a role to play, and I think the conversation that is going to happen today is around how can we make this ecosystem a space where we can be proud that the smallholder farmers who take this important role of nourishing us and the planet both are rewarded equitably. So, I mean, right now it's not happening. That's why the farmers are, a lot of farmers are moving away from the farming itself. If you talk with every single farmer, and their aspirations are their kids should not be in farm. They should be doing something else, more easier jobs, and more stable and less risky. So we have a big role to play as first as consumers and also as different ecosystem players, so that this agri-enterprises thrive, and we can be assured that the future generations will still have enough nourishing food, and the planet that we leave for the generations that to come will also not like point the fingers to us for not being responsible to keep the planet safe and productive and resilient. Thank you so much. I look forward to the debate and discussion that happens in this room.
Thank you so much, Nina ma'am, for those insightful remarks and for highlighting the importance of creating systems that enable farmers and agri-enterprises to thrive. Our chief guest, Mr. Ramu, is actually on his way, so we'll save his remarks for later. So far, all of us have probably heard how unlocking investment for agriculture requires more than capital alone. Maybe a lot, actually. So it requires systems that connect finance, markets, enterprises, and farmers in meaningful and sustainable ways. To better understand those connections, we now move to our scene setting session. This session will explore the broader finance and market ecosystem and introduce Heifer International's 5-pillar approach to building resilient and inclusive agricultural economies. We will examine the opportunities, challenges, and strategic pathways needed to strengthen access to finance and market participation for farmers, cooperatives, and small and medium enterprises. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Pranjit Talukdar and the Heifer International Nepal team.
Good afternoon. Allow me to repeat a few things Nina just spoke about. Can you put on the slides as well? So while they're working on, so we saw, and then this is coming up increasingly clear now, that the biggest investor in the food system are actually the farmers and the cooperatives, right? If you see, they are the closest to the food system, they are the producers, they are the ones. In fact, when you work in our programs, we see, yeah.
This is the next reverse.
Okay. Okay. So we see often the cooperatives and the farmers are the biggest investors. Okay. Huh. So good afternoon again. The first slide was good enough. Thank you all for being here, and a special thank you to the 7 cooperatives who pitched this morning, who set the tone for the whole day. Thanks also to ANDE, Oxfam, and SAFAL Partners for the platform, and to Nepal Rabobank for joining us when they would join. You have all received a concept note and agenda, so you know where today is going. For the next 30 minutes, I won't probably not take that long, I want to set the scene for our conversation, which is already set quite a bit. Not to present 5 separate initiatives, but to show how they quietly become one system. The title says it all, Seeds of Change. The change is that inclusive finance and private sector partnerships in Nepal have matured to the point where they can converge. I hope this works. So, from this morning to this afternoon, for those of you in the room this morning, you saw something Nepal had not seen before. At least I haven't seen that in Nepal before. 7 cooperatives pitching directly to 3 boards, a jury scoring their pitch, and investors and industry players sitting with them to explore real deals and partnerships. That was not a side event. It was the ecosystem in action. On the demand side, farmers and the cooperative-led enterprises meeting the supply side, capital and markets in the same room in the real time. And for those joining us now, this afternoon, that is the living example behind everything I'm about to show you. Now, if we zoom out from individual pitches to the systems that lets a deal like this actually close and then scale. And a word to everyone, especially those not yet part of any of these 5 initiatives I may be talking about. Both events are firsts. We are not only discussing inclusive finance, we are prototyping how it gets done. If you see yourself anywhere in this picture, treat today as your on-ramp. Okay. So why this moment? Over the past few years, Heifer Nepal have built 5 distinct initiatives. Well, many, but I'll talk about 5 of them. Each is useful on its own way, but apart they are different projects. Here is the hard lesson from our own investment work. The highest impact capital, the kind that reaches farmers and cooperatives upstream, must be patient and able to take real risk. And the most you can usually expect back in capital is capital preservation, not a market return. So we must conform to that fact. And that is exactly where the capital is scarce. And that's what produces the valley of death. On the right, the early stage agri-enterprises, too big for a grant and too risky for a bank. Readiness on one side, institutional money on the other, and a gap in between. Now, our argument today, no single instrument crosses this gap. 5 pillars working together build the bridge. And today, 19 June, gives us a rare alignment of timing, audience, and agenda to make that case. So think of finance for smallholder agriculture as a continuum, not a single transaction, and read it left to right. It starts with smallholder farmers and their readiness, moves to cooperatives and agri-SMEs that aggregate them, then market linkages that create real demand, then risk-sharing instruments that make lending bankable, then blended and capital, climate capital that brings scale, and finally institutional and policy finance, the bank, the NRB, and so on. Now, capital only flows when every node works. A guarantee is useless if cooperatives are not investment ready, and readiness is wasted if there is no market to sell into. So the bottom band in the point is the point. This is a demand side to supply side journey. Most actors specialize at one end. Heifer's role is to partner across the entire chain, convening farmers, and you've heard Nina say that earlier as well, cooperatives, market players, financiers, connecting capital to cooperatives and farmers. That is our comparative advantage. And that is what lets a fragmented chain behave like an ecosystem that is patient, that catalyze finances, can move, and then catalytic finance can move through from farmers to the institutional policy finance. For a technical room, if you see a system disconnected is more anti-fragile. You know what is fragile is, under stress it breaks. Anti-fragile is something which gets stronger under stress. And that's what it happens when you are all connected. A shock in one node can absorb by the other. Here are the 5 pillars. Now, these are not 5 ideas on a slide. They are 5 live initiatives, each plugged into a different node of the ecosystem you just saw. Pillar 1 is a learning series where Heifer, ANDE, Oxfam, we're working together. Knowledge and community, a 3-part series that build explicitly to bridge the valley of death, the field building layer. The second pillar is RAIF. Well, the full form is Regional Adaptation Investment Facility. You'll hear more about that later in the day. It's a scalable climate finance, a facility that targeting about $250 million US in adaptation climate capital across adaptation capital across Asia Pacific, with Nepal as a priority deployment site. The pillar 3 is Rabobank Foundation Guarantee, whom we have partnered with, the risk-sharing model, USD 750,000 guarantee unlocking about over $7.5 million in affordable finance for cooperatives, plus trade finance for SMEs. Now, catalytic capital moving 10 times its value. That is replication story. Pillar 4 is the private sector engagement, the market linkage layer. It's credible processors, input suppliers, and SMEs in equitable partnerships with farmers. SAFAL is facilitating the structured dialogues. And pillar 5 is with APRACA, is an institutional policy finance. You'll hear from them later in the day today. a regional network of 95 institutions across 24 countries, and I'll let them speak more about it. Our growing collaboration is opening pathways from supply-side finance up to the policy. Now, the colors map back to the ecosystem nodes. 5 pillars, 5 jobs, 1 bridge, and every pillar is open to new partners in this room. Okay. So I'll let this hold. Left to right, if we read this. The pillar, the job it does in the ecosystem, who leads it, and the signal of its scale. Top to bottom, if we read, is the arc that reveals itself. Knowledge, climate finance, risk sharing, market linkage, institutional and policy finance. The point for this, for the audience, every one of these already has named partners engaged. This is not a proposal. It is a portfolio that exists today and is ready to be connected. If your institution fits one of these rows, we should talk before you leave. Let me move to the convergence arc. Here is the whole story in one line. From farmer readiness to institutional investment. Each pillar hands off to the next. The learning series builds the RAIF, builds the field. RAIF channels climate capital. Rabobank guarantee de-risk the lending. The private sector creates the demand that makes it viable, and APRACA scales the supply side and connects it to the policy. Together, they form a complete financing and market continuum. No orphan steps. No duplicated effort. This is the practical case for convergence. By aligning this today, same timing, audience, and agenda, the pillars reinforce one another instead of competing for attention on capital. So what we are setting out to do today, well, that's what my presentation was about. So what do we want to walk away with today? 3 things and an open invitation. The invitation, first, if your work touches any node of this ecosystem, there is a place for you. In one of the 5 pillars, we are looking for partners, not just an audience. First, surface the synergies. Leave seeing 5 pillars as one ecosystem, not 5 projects. Second, find local partners concretely for systems like RAIF deployment and for replicating the Rabobank guarantee model. Third, crystallize action, a documented multi-stakeholder agenda maybe, including policy recommendation on credit risk sharing from an RB if possible. We are not building 5 parallel processes. We are completing one arc from the farm to institutional capital. I'll leave you with that. Thank you. And over to our next session, Lessons from the Field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pandit sir, for that comprehensive overview. The framework we just heard provides valuable context, but as we all know, the true test of any framework lies in how it works on the ground. Our next session takes us directly into the lived experiences of enterprises and cooperatives navigating these realities every day. Across Nepal, many cooperatives and agri-enterprises have demonstrated innovation, resilience, and ambition. Yet, despite their potential, many continue to face significant barriers when seeking investment and growth capital. These challenges often create what investors refer to as the valley of death, the difficult stage between proving a business model and securing the resources needed to scale. To help us better understand these realities, we will hear directly from organizations that are experiencing both the opportunities and the challenges of enterprise growth. Please welcome Mr. Baluram Chowdhury from Guru Baba Multipurpose Cooperative. Mr. Sanjay Kafle from Pahari Foods. Mr. Tenzin Gonsar from Team Ventures. and Mr. Nishant Khanal from Sujal Dairy.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Baluram Chaudhary, manager of Gurbaba Multipurpose Cooperative Organization from Dang district. My presentation, please. This is Tharu Atreer, the girls in Tharu Atreers. I will move forward. I'll be basically talking on 4 topics: organizational introduction with historical background, ongoing programs, activities, and achievement versus challenges, and our future plans. This is our organization information. We register our cooperative on June 28, 2013. And we can go about our organization through website and social media also. Before establishing our cooperative, there was a big challenge that many people in grassroots level were unemployed. There was land barren, and people were heavily dependent on seasonal agricultural activities like paddy plantation only. So we decided what could be done. So here you can see picture, 32 Tharu people of 2 villages, Rawatgaon and Chakhaura. I am also one of them, decided that we must do something for the betterment of community. So our main focus was how to establish fertilizer and seed problems could be solved, and facilitating saving credit. During that time, many institutions, especially banking sectors, were hesitating to work in the grassroots level. So many people who need loan, they used to take from informal money lender and had to pay huge charges as interest and other. And also they were not thinking of off-seasonal farming practices, and government body also very far away from them. So to address all those problems, we established our cooperative. And in the beginning, our movement started by moving with bicycle in the grassroots level and convincing many grassroots people, especially women, because many men were out of country as labor in Gulf countries and also in India. So our movement started. I was just 24 years old during that time. I got a scholarship from Open Society Foundation, New York. After visiting many places and discussing with many changing stakeholders, I decided that I must do for the betterment of my own community, and I started my dissertation and all internship focus in my area. During that time, many more people from my village used to say that you are studying about, you are just coming for sitting, and we cannot believe, and you are a young man and you cannot do. So taking that challenge into my heart, I started that I must do something, I will definitely change. So I started visiting people, but they used to afraid of me and they used to escape. I continued it for 1 year, then they finally started monthly saving by 5 rupees. So that was also great challenge. But I was happy that at least people believe and started saving. So first time, the vehicle and the man that was from district agriculture office. First time they visited in my area, when I many times invited them, and they really shocked to see me. Really, he is willing to do something. And also grassroots level people surprised that first time the government body is coming with some idea. And they stayed with me for 2 days. Together we plan and discuss there. Then we started how to start cultivation, especially in farming, especially in vegetable farming. So we started our movement by lift irrigation system development. You can see here some figures. And also we started different income generating activities, training with them, like handicraft and different agricultural byproduct making system. And also we, then after 2 years, we luckily come with under government big project, Prime Minister Agriculture Modernization Project. We align with that system, and in 50% donation subsidy program, we started different agricultural equipment deliberation and discussion programs. So you can see here some pictures. Then after, we transformed that barren land into this cultivated land. Then people engaged in production system. They start selling their product in the local market. And still you can see that almost 70% market of vegetable is covered by our members. That is the village area and the big city, our area is Tulsipur and also Gorai. So they started this movement. Initially, they used to say that who is selling their product, they used to be thought that negatively. But now who is not doing cultivation, they are thought to be negatively. That is great change for us. But while doing those for 5-7 years, we also came with some ideas that realize we transform the barren land into cultivation, but the same time we also facing many more problems like pesticides use. The list you can see, they are banned pesticides in Nepal, but illegally came from India and people are using. The reason that pests are stronger due to the heavy, strong pesticides. So to kill them, they must go that no alternative. So everybody has to think here, we have realized while working. So this is one big challenge for us. So we realized that we came with some change, that positive change, income has increased, increment of women in politics also. When we started many movement in grassroots level, many more our members are ward level members, president is still, they are acting. And also increment in working hour. They used to just engage in seasonal farming, but now they are too much engaged. They work 18 hours, even you can see in the grassroots level if you visit. So women decision power has increased. In the past, that woman has to wait for husband for small money also, but now husband is waiting for money from women because they are selling their product, they are getting money. But negative change that we realized, degraded land, air pollution, health problems. So because of that, more spending on treatment and medicine, more spending on chemical fertilizer and pesticides, and existence of different new diseases. So now people are thinking how to change their occupation also, so changing their occupation like goat, pig, buffalo. But trying this adaptation, and whether we could go for organic, the big question. So this is big challenge also. So Our realization after 5-7 years working, we realized that we must focus on institutional development and another entrepreneurship development so that we can come up with some market intervention system. So our main focus is let's produce the quality seeds, technology, techniques, and saving credit that cannot be done individually and support to the people who are trying to be entrepreneurship. So this is our model that we are trying to make basic to excellent level entrepreneur. So we support in 3 sectors: one, saving credit; another, technical aspects; and third, linking them with proper sustainable market. So this is our saving credit system, just a snapshot. And we have established Guru Baba Livestock and Agriculture Resource Center. This is especially for providing quality seed in piglets, in local chicken, bees, and also fishes. We also may somebody surprised that we make crustaceous cocks also. That market is very high, and people wait for getting that. So this is the just snapshot by photo. And we have seed bank. We are producing seeds of improved variety and traditional variety. So we are producing mustard plant, wheat, but due to lack of irrigation, we are not going to produce paddy. We are heavily dependent in India, the hybrided seed, but still we are facing many more problems like panning in egg, legs. That could be a hybrid seed problem because research also indicating that. So our more focus is if we can develop irrigation system whole year, then we could still go more for seed production. So this is a big challenge for us also, and I will request every concerned stakeholder if we go for that. And we have conducted a school from cooperative also. Now Nepal education system is very rooted system. So government policy is one side, but practical side is another. So we are totally implementing government policy. Like after 4 classes, there is a provision that 50% theory and 50% practical. So we make our students to do practical 50% actually. Let them work in our cooperative different intervention. So now the result is coming with better also. And also we are implementing multilingual education system in early grade, especially up to grade 3, so that the students who are not English background, Nepali background could comfortably study and get better practical knowledge. So we have engaged in the education system, the knowledge sharing forum, nationally and internationally. While I was working and studying abroad, I had good connection with many people in Denmark, New Zealand, Netherlands, America. So they are coming with us, not for funding, but knowledge transformation. So we have developed the system internship program. Many more expert and university students came in our organization and they deliver their techniques, and also we share our ideas and also we visit there. So this has bring the knowledge transformation and another also confidence in young generation that we can do in Nepal also, because here are so many opportunities. Young generation is very fascinated of European countries, but they don't know really how difficult they are and how much struggle they have to do. But when knowledge is transformed and ideas are getting shared, then they realize that, oh, we must do in our Nepal. Here are so many opportunities. So we are realizing nowadays, after 12 years of working together in the grassroots people, So coming up, we have 700 farmers who are actively engaged in improved variety seed production, 250 farmers, commercial pig producer, 200 farmers are local chicken producer, and more than 3,000 people are engaged in commercial sun-dried agricultural product like sinki, aloo ko chips, mula ko chana, besar, etc. You can see our product in exhibition sector also. There we have. So this is some photo clips. And also we are constantly working in corporate responsibility sector like health campaigning and different disaster programs, also in condolences and different sector. And also we are now more focused how we could reduce the pesticides use. So we have started earthworm rearing, not for selling, but for farmer. They do themselves, and as much as they can, they are using. So the product is very good, and if we use properly, so it is not necessary to use chemical fertilizer and pesticides, because I am also using myself in my land. So we also have different campaigning for land testing, but our result is showing that there is presence of high amount of acid in the soil. So people are compelled to use chemical fertilizer and pesticides. And we have started different entrepreneurship programs, so they are engaged and number increasing every year, and we provide different award to the best entrepreneurs and members. So now I'm moving forward actually what our cooperative is. So we have more than 5,000 actively engaged share members, and as we are working in grassroots level, one member is basically one household. So we are in total working with more than 30,000 farmers. So we have if we go through sex-wise, we have 15% male in the members and 85 female. So in caste-wise, if we go, 98% are indigenous nationalities. Because, okay, I will move forward. This is our vision is joys and sorrows friend our cooperatives. So this is our mission. So this is what we are willing to do in long term. So our working area, especially in 4 sectors: economic development, members, services and capacity development, institutional management and strengthening, leadership development. So this is our holistic approach for agricultural change. So while coming up, we have some challenges also. We have developed saving and credit system, but we have equally challenges for fairness, transparent, and also we have introduced different agricultural products development, but we lack factories and machinery, so that is big challenge. As government norms also, while working with cooperative, there are fixed some terms going through pulse indicator, where we cannot invest our own money if we have. So that is one big challenge, and also need of capacity development and different professional organization marketing system. So now, while coming up till here, we have big challenge is marketing. So market is very challenge. So our future plans, so we have different new demo pig farming, insemination system, plastic recycling, knowledge sharing, and if we go with organic product, also big challenge. So we have this type of ideas we have developed in our strategic planning. And going through our all activities, we are trying to address Sustainable Development Goals 2030 by knowingly, unknowingly, because as we are in very grassroots level, our all activities are aligned with food security and production. Thank you very much. I take a bit more time. Sorry for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Balram, sir, for sharing your... does anyone have any questions? I don't think so. Thank you, Balram, sir, for sharing your journey and the cooperative journey with us. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Sanjay Kafle on stage. Also, I'd like to request all our presenters to be a little mindful of time.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Sanjay Kafle. I'm founder and chairman of Himalaya, Nepal. In the itinerary, you've just seen Pahari Foods, but my journey starts long ago. Next slide, please. When I studied, it's not slide, this is PDF, so if you could help me go through the next one. Yeah, so I'm an agriculture post-grad. I've done my bachelor's and master's in the Tribhuvan University. In 2013, I joined agriculture science in Lamjung campus, and over the years, I travel across the Nepal. I travel by foot over 55 districts. I was traveling to document the stories of farmers. Back then, I was a blogger. I was a photographer and a storyteller. Starting from Lamjung, I traveled to the eastern region of Catalyzing, the western region of Saipal, Bajang, Bajura, and all these places. Covering over 55 districts, I realized the biggest problem in Nepalese agriculture is not the resources, it's the market. And I deeply wanted to do something as a student, as somebody who wants change. Next slide. And that's when I was in this place called Tanje in Lamjung, where I was there to document the story of the honey hunters. This is 2017. I went there just to write the story and collect some honey to bring it for my friends and family. And surprisingly, this story turned out to be, next slide, to be my small bedroom or kitchen initiative. So this is the first product that I launched from my bedroom, and actually this idea came because I posted this story and everybody started saying, do you have the honey? Do you have the honey? And on the other side, in the farming, in the village, the honey hunters were struggling to sell the product. And I saw there is an opportunity. And for me, somebody who wanted change from something that I could do within, and I started selling this product in 2018. And next slide. And when you were in 26, the venture that started from 5,000 rupees is generating over 120 million Nepalese rupees, employing over 5,000 people, and also directly employing 45 plus employees. We're over 50 countries. We are expanding aggressively. We have created our product line. The story that started from a kitchen room with a plastic bottle of 20 rupees. Now we're selling our premium products over $300, $400 in the European and American market. Next slide. And these are some of the faces that you might have seen online. So some of them might not have heard about Nepal, for instance, Joe Rogan or Mike Tyson. But through our product, we reached to them. I personally handed honey and in his hometown in Las Vegas last year to Mike Tyson. And there is this guy is Wang Zhang, who is the chairman of Beijing Genomic Institute. This is the company that actually founded coronavirus like formally. They are extensively on research. And we're also, as Himalaya, we're trying to do research on agriculture products and find out research-based evidence of our Himalayan products. Right now, we're based in Budhanilkantha. We have our facility of one Ropani, and we do have research centers with HPLC and other equipments to do research on agriculture. And also, one of my friends, through our friends, we also was able to give the honey to Joe Rogan, and he featured on his podcast. So next slide. And this is another story of Pahari Foods. Me and one of my friends, Prashant, we were on our spiritual journey, and I was the last company, Himalaya. It was more of institutionalized, and I had a CEO in the company, and we thought, let's do something bigger, and also touch more lives, because that's, I think, with my agriculture knowledge and expertise, and my friends' supply chain and distribution expertise, we thought, let's do something that would give value to more farming communities. Next slide. In 2023, we started this, and right now we have over 250 SKUs. We're in Vadbateni, we're in Salisbury, Big Mart. We've been exporting it to US, Middle East, and Australia. Next slide. So I see a lot of opportunity in the Nepalese agriculture, and my previous speaker has mentioned about the problem of marketing, and our strength lies in the value addition and marketing of the Nepalese product, and that's what we do. Actually, the global food trend right now, if you see nutrition, supplements, and weight loss food, market cap is 1.1 trillion, and it's reaching 1.6 trillion in 2029. And alone, healthy food segment in 2024 data is around $868 billion. So there's a big market, and also there's a demand of wellness products. Like consumer are more awareness about the product origin, authenticity. They read the labels, and also our story, our Himalaya story, our agroclimate favors unique products to offer to the world, and I see massive opportunity in this segment. Next slide. So these are some of the challenges that we have been facing. The top one is aggregation challenges. The products that we carry in market, for example, the Himalayan mad honey, it has to be harvested in the highest regions of the Himalayas. And the farmers are, like the honey harvester, are scared, like sparsely populated, and we have been actually working to establish cooperative, aligning with the local government. It's funded by our own company, because we want to institutionalize this to make it more sustainable, because it's sparsely unorganized. And another is quality standardization. We actually do not have, our agriculture food system prominently is based on basic parameters like texture, smell, not actually what's inside it, the ingredients that's available within the product. So we have a quality standardization issue. Another is farmers and business owners trust, because traders are treated as enemy, and there is a lot of in the market bad practices, and it is resulting in farmer business distrust and working capital constraint. This is what we face the most, because we sell it to modern trades, and they hold the money for almost 3 to 6 months while we have to pay our farmers upfront. And we can do so much as a small company, and working capital is something that can actually solve a lot of Nepalese market issue problem that we are facing. Another is compliances issues. If you see, like Nepal produces really premium honey, but almost 500 million population who can pay well. The European market is blocked because we don't have a veterinary residual law. So we can't legally sell honey to Europe. So if these are the issues that needs to be addressed G to G, and I think these are some of the issues that needs attention. And also another issue is our topography and our logistics problems. Next slide. And the road ahead is, again, like the problems that I've said, some of the, if we can address the working capital, if there are institutions who can like easily do that with like not a lot of documentations and hustles, and certifications, support from government side, research and innovation, because that way we can only produce like high quality products and sell our products in the market. And again, like the government support to the private sector, and support the SME ecosystem. So with this, I want to conclude my presentation. Thank you for your time. Over to you. Next slide.
Thank you, Sanjay, sir. It was truly inspiring to hear your story. From 5,000 to millions, wow. Now I'd like to invite our next presenter, Mr. Tenzin Gonsar.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I think we had two very good presentations before me, but unfortunately, I don't have a presentation. I kind of assumed it was a moderating kind of session, so I was expecting a conversation, but nonetheless, I'll try to make it impromptu. So I think the topic, especially, I'll start with a little bit about myself. So I come from investment background. I run an investment company here in Kathmandu. In my previous avatar, I was based in the US, working in the financial sector. And for the last 10 odd years, I've been running an investment company based here in Nepal. We're primarily into kind of private equity structure investments. So we're mainly coming from the equity side. I think there are bankers, cooperatives here. They can speak more about the debt side. So in terms of, I think the topic is around investment bottlenecks, in particular in the agro sector. And I think this is something I can speak a word or two about, because as a firm, I think till date, last 10 years, we've probably done some 27, 28 odd investments. And from that number, probably we've done only around 2 agro sector investments. So that's not an amazing number by any measure, right? Nepal is a largely an agro sector driven economy. So why isn't a fund manager like us making 5 to 7 investments from a portfolio of almost 30 investments, right? Agro sector investments are very challenging. They're very challenging for multiple reasons. But the good thing is, besides the challenges, I would also like to speak about 1 or 2 perhaps success stories, case studies, companies that we've invested in terms of providing flexible, innovative capital. And I think those are the stories in a way that needs to go out, right? 'Cause a lot of times you come to these kind of platforms and you often just hear the same narrative, you know, lack of policy, lack of this, lack of that. But we often don't hear about, yes, we're aware of the challenges, but what exactly are investors, what are entrepreneurs doing to address those kind of real ground level challenges? So I'd like to talk about perhaps maybe 1 or 2 solutions to financing investment challenges in the agro sector in general. One is the idea of, in an economy like Nepal, I think the idea of blended finance is very, very, very important, right? And I don't think we truly have it at scale in Nepal. I think we have tried it in bits and pieces, and I'll give you our example. So if you talk about blended finance, for example, right? So if you were to finance agro-sector investment, you have to essentially have different stacks of capital. When you speak about financing in Nepal, it's either very plain vanilla. Are you going to get debt financing from the BFIs, or are you going to get equity from a firm or investor like us? So it's very plain vanilla. You're an entrepreneur. You either have a debt option or you're an equity option. You don't really have anything in between, right? And I think my point is agro sector is a very unique sector, but it's got its own set of challenges, right? So often when you're farming, your farming output is not consistent 12 months in a year, right? Similarly, you run into weather patterns, and as the entrepreneur earlier said, cash flow problems. You know, your sales is there, but there's a credit problem, you're not paid on time, so there's a downstream impact on the smallholder farmers, right? So I think from a financing standpoint, including for banks, I think the idea of providing flexible financing is extremely important. I've had my friends who are in agro sector complain about this, saying banks see things very plain vanilla. You know, they are told by our central bank, you have to, you know, give this much loan to this much SMEs, and for them it's just about deployment, and it's not really understanding what are the financing requirements of actual agro sector entrepreneurs, right? Which is often cyclical in nature, right? So I think from a financing standpoint, the idea of having flexible financing, in particular for agro sector, is particularly important. And I said blended finance, right? So in blended finance, basically you have different stacks of capital, right? In Nepal, you know, forget agro for a sector. In general, across all major sectors in Nepal, you know, whether it's our clean energy sector, whether it's an agro sector, whether it's a hospitality sector or manufacturing, these are the major sectors, right? We've attracted very, very little serious commercial capital. I mean, FDI, don't even mention it. You look at the numbers recently, it's almost on a downward trend, right? Even our small neighboring country like Bhutan is more recently attracting more FDI than Nepal, when Nepal as a market size is much, much bigger, right? So I think blended finance is really important because naturally agro sector has its own set of risks. So the idea of first tier capital being, you know, people like here, like an organization like Heifer International that perhaps can provide the initial layer of capital, which will come in the form of grant, or let's say convertible grant. So now you have the idea of, initially you give 100,000 grant to a company, but assuming it goes to the next stage of scaling up, that could be converted into equity. Then in between, you have the idea of first loss capital, right? So you have a company that received a $50,000 or $100,000 grant. So the proof of concept, basic mechanics have been established. And then you have another kind of developmental financing structure, which is called first loss structure, which is basically like an insurance scheme, right? So let's say you get another $500,000 of first loss capital, and then you get the little more what you call serious institutional investors. This could be impact funds, this could be development finance institutions, and then last but not least, but perhaps most important, is the attraction of commercial capital, right? So typically what we've seen in Nepal is that, you know, because we don't have these different stacks of capital, or they're being put into silos. So I've seen agro entrepreneurs raise grants, and then I think there's a term in the market, I think they're called grantpreneurs. People make fun, right? And in a way, it's not funny because that's going to disrupt the market, right? A company cannot sustain on grants, right? We all know this, right? So, but grants are very important, and I'll give you an example how even somebody like private sector, like myself, you know, sometimes non-profit sectors and INGOs take a bad hit, but I have an example, right? So we invested in this agro sector company, and all of this is largely publicly available information. You can Google it. I think roughly around a year ago, we partnered up with an international organization called Swiss Contact. And similarly, just like the good work of Heifer International, they also were working on a program called, I believe it's called CASA program, which is working in many kind of frontier emerging markets, including Nepal. So this is a program largely targeted to benefit smallholder farmers. I'm a private sector commercial investor, right? For me, returns are important. We need to give returns back to our investors. So when we partnered up with CASA through Swiss Contact, we basically did around a 4-month market mapping of investable agro-sector companies in Nepal, right? So they actually gave us a grant, right? So they contributed 70%, we contributed 30%, right? So in total, I think that was maybe $70,000, $80,000 kind of total, but our contribution was there too. The idea was they wanted to attract commercial capital, but saying something and doing something is very difficult. We have very little examples of actually attracting commercial capital into successful agro-sector ventures in Nepal. We wanted to invest in the agro sector, but we didn't have the full risk appetite. We needed to understand the sector better. So through some form of technical assistance partnership, 70-30, we contributed 30%. So this is almost like a private-public kind of partnership, right? And we did a mapping. I think it took us maybe 4 or 5 months of mapping the agro sector. We brought in third-party consultants, advisors, and so on. And at the end of those, I think 4 or 5 months, we identified, we graded companies, and we actually found a very good company, which we felt was commercially viable. It's a company called Annapurna Macha Udyog, which is based out of Chitwan. So basically, this company, fully Nepal-owned, Nepalese-led company, based in agricultural hub of Chitwan. So basically, they produce fish feed. So if you drive around the Tarai belt of Nepal, the agricultural belt of Nepal, you'll see that a lot of people own assets like land, right? But a lot of the land is not producing returns for the farmers, right? And so a lot of, in recent years, you'll see part of their land, or a lot of their land, they're converting into fish farms, right? But the problem is, if fish farms are growing, if you look at the backward integration, all the fish feed was essentially, in recent years, say 90% or almost 100% being imported largely from India, right? So this company, in a way, from a business standpoint, came to disrupt that market, saying, look, if you look at the forward linkage, fish farms are growing, right? So there's a growing demand for fish feed. But unfortunately, it was all being supplied by import-driven solutions. So Annapurna Macha Udyog was roughly established around 2 years back, right, by a bunch of entrepreneurs, passionate, dedicated. And we were able to identify this company through our partnership with Swiss Contact. And very happy to report, I think roughly around a year ago, we signed the deal thanks to this partnership. So if we didn't do that partnership, we probably wouldn't have gone to a commercial investment. We invested a very good amount. I think I can disclose around almost 8 crores NPR we invested. This was the first institutional fundraise for this company, right? In a matter of roughly 4 to 5 months of us as an institution investing in this company, they raised, I think, roughly another 20 crores of investment. So you're saying, as a first stage institutional raise, they raised almost 30 crores. Most of that raise, including our money, was raised at a premium, right? So for their hard work, for their dedication, for the institution they had built, and it was still early stage, we paid a premium to join this company, right? And when we entered this company, their sales was maybe, again, this is all publicly available, roughly in the range of 20 plus CR kind of annual revenue, which I felt was great as a new kind of one-year company. Post our entry, I think the sales this year, fiscal year, will far exceed 40 crores in sales. So sales have almost doubled because they were such dedicated entrepreneurs. So, usually when you're so passionate about your business, what are the things you miss? Is things like governance, which are really important as you scale up. Because if you screw up on that, then you're going to mess up on your scale up. And that's the value we brought in. I tell them, the capital is not a big deal. The value addition we did basic things from calling, monthly board meetings. Our representatives fly down to Chitwan. We spend 2 days there. We have quarterly targets, meetings, governance, compliance meetings. And now that has been institutionalized in the last months. And very happy to report, if you Google this, now the company has signed with the issue manager. It is officially on the securities board pipeline for a public listing. Right? So if you look at Nepal's stock market, which has largely been dominated by banks, financial institutions, and hydropower, recently there's a new wave of good companies, including, say, agro companies, like the company that we invested in. So this is clearly, for me at least, and I would very much like to replicate this, right? Like in all our future funds that we're planning, that we have been, we have kept at least, say, 20 to 20% allocation of our total fund corpus towards the agro sector, right? Now, in order for us to actually deploy, and we manage commercial capital, right? We have to do these kind of partnerships. So it's very important for me as a private sector person to emphasize in a platform like this, being organized by an international organization like Heifer, because sometimes in the media, the press, oh, INGOs, they don't have real impact, oh, this, that, you know. But we're a real example where we did this small, 4 to 6 months is not a long-term partnership, right? We raised almost 30 crores in a new company, right? This company is now going for a public listing. Probably is going to be worth hundreds of crores, right? Because the capital size is now, the paid up capital has reached a good level, sales is growing, governance is good, it's on a public listing, and in a matter of months, it'll probably be a listed entity. So I think that kind of, in a way, success case story was very important for me to exemplify here, because often when people say private public sector, they think it has to be between the government and some other private sector. No, it could even be between like an international organization, just like Heifer International, and a private sector fund manager like us. And because those models have succeeded, happy to report that we are trying to replicate this with other international organizations, right? Including in particular in agro sector. So we as a fund manager, we are bullish in the sense that it's hard work. I mean, it's not just tomorrow I'm going to find 20 great companies, but I think with the right partnership, right mindset, right structuring, and I think the structures that I talked about in terms of flexible financing, blended finance capital, I think these are relatively new concepts in Nepal. I think without pushing these structures forward, it'll be very, very difficult to build a kind of proper financial ecosystem in the agro sector in Nepal. Look, from a policy perspective, government of Nepal has done every year. There's, you know, all these terms here, deprived sector, lending, agro sector, this. But in the end, you talk to real agro people on the ground, they're like, I'm either not getting the money, or when I'm getting it, I'm not getting it on the terms that I need it, right? So I'm not getting flexible terms. So I think flexible financing, along with blended finance, along with this kind of broadly defined private-public sector partnership, I think there's real value addition there. Because I think if INGOs just go at it alone, right, I think it's very difficult, because eventually you're not going to get the private capital. I think from early stage, if you share the risk, like we did, like we contributed our money, right? 70% they contributed, 30% we contributed, but in the end, we brought in the real commercial capital, which is exactly actually what development partners like yourself also want, right? Because you want that entity to become commercially viable, right? And a company like Annapurna Macha Udyog, they are directly tied with smallholder farms. They are the manufacturing entity, but they supply to hundreds of fish farms across Chitwan and many, many districts, right? So kind of just wanted to highlight that emphasis, and if anyone has any questions or partnership ideas after this, happy to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Tenzin sir, for sharing your valuable perspectives and emphasizing the importance of blended finance. Now I'd like to call our final presenter, Mr. Nishant Khanal from Sujal Dairy, on stage.
Good afternoon. My name is Nishant. I'm an economist and policy advisor at Lakshmi Group, where Sujal Dairy is a subsidiary there. So I also thought it's a panel kind of a discussion, so I don't have a presentation yet, but I'll try to first introduce what Sujal is doing, what are Sujal's plan, and how what are the key bottlenecks that Sujal Dairy is facing as being one of the largest dairies. So Sujal Dairy, the history begins in like 2004 when the government privatized the Pokhara milk supply scheme, and then like it's today. Currently with 600 employees, is one of the largest private sector dairy entity in Nepal. Range across products, if you can like see most of the products in the market as well. Sujal works with 4,000 direct farmers. When I say 4,000 direct farmers, these farmers individually fill the KYC forms. They are directly linked in the Sujal's software, and the milk and everything, whatever they collect, they get a receipt and the payment goes to the bank account directly. That's one innovation Sujal has done. This is for the 4,000 direct farmers, but apart from that, Sujal works with across over 150 cooperatives across Nepal, and with those cooperatives, there are 10,000 more farmers. So currently, the expansion is around about 14,000 farmers that SUSL collect milk with per day, and the per day capacity of milk processing is around 500,000 liters, but roughly does around 250,000 to 300,000 liters per day. So that's how the factories are in Pokhara as well as in Kathmandu. And the collection centers are across. So there's like 50 plus collection centers are owned by SUSL itself. So this makes SUSL one of the largest dairy in Nepal. So coming back to the key question here today, so what's SUSL doing with farmers? Is SUSL also, apart from sourcing milk from farmers, provides the veterinary inputs and all other kind of input supplies that are needed to those 4,000 farmers. So that means feeder, fodder, all these good husbandry practices, provides cow mats and everything for the farmers who are currently linked and have the KYC filled with the SUSL dairy itself. So that means there's also a small section extension plans built around the inputs needed for dairy, and also is supporting using a veterinary doctor. There's a lot of women cooperatives who are getting directly benefited by SUSL's support to them, and so SUSL's kind of, despite a lot of other challenges, has been closely working with the farmers and cooperatives. So that's one thing. Next is that, so I would directly want to come on what are the key challenges that we're facing at the moment. Is one's definitely on the farm productivity level. So we're trying to increase the farm productivity. So that would also, on the other hand, reduce the cost of production. So that's one of the problems and kind of bottlenecks that we've been facing to expand the market, as well as to trickle down the benefits to the farmers. But having said that, I think dairy is the only in agriculture enterprise or industry in Nepal that supplies whatever the market, the 60% of the market value to the farmer. So if the milk has been sold at 100 rupees, then 60 rupees goes to the farmer, and that's it's. So we're trying to have it up to 68 to 70% for the next fiscal year. But again, that comes on other kind of how do we have the infrastructure ready or not. So that's another thing. Next one is that the milk handling cost is one of the key bottlenecks for us. Since we source milk from different part of Nepal, so there's a bit of a cost in that milk handling sector as well. Another one is that we're also facing issue on attracting. There's no issue is not in attracting investment, but the issue is managing milk, because as you know, there's a two season for milk, the lean and flush, and that's where a lot of these pricing issues of the farmers not getting price and all that comes around. But also we do have a lot of stock that's in our inventory, and we're also not being able to put that in stock in the market, or the market is sometimes does not react like how we want to react, and that's where the price issue comes around along with the farmers. So that's one all of the challenge that we're facing, and for that we're trying to just recently invested on a Tetra Pak plant that would give a long shelf life milk. We do have a powder plant, so we hope that all this would help farmers get the price as well as the market move. But then again, our key bottleneck here would be how do we reduce the cost of production from the farm level, and that's where we're also trying to partner with agencies like Heifer and all others, and also we've been recently in touch with Rabobank Foundation as well, so that we want to trickle down all these benefits. We've also been trying to explore the climate smart technologies and climate smart solution on dairy to our farmers. We're exploring on solar chilling vat, we're exploring on solar milk concentrator, so that the transport of milk would be a bit more cost-effective way, so that we can reduce the cost of production at the farm level as well as at the market as well. And another problem we've been facing is on milk export, or the expansion of Nepal's milk market outside Nepal for the various products that we do. We've been facing challenges on various phytosanitary issues. We've been facing all these non-tariff measures are there. Despite that, we are currently exporting to two of the market, one's Australia and Japan. Mostly the ghees have been exported there, and also with the rising production of hard cheese in Nepal. We're also trying to explore on the whey protein sector as well. So we want to figure it out if there's a possibility of converting the excess whey, which has been waste today, to high value protein or not. So that's one thing that we're seeing. On the other hand, while we see the investment in market for the big dairy farms, there's been a substantial amount of investment already. But the problem, again, as a industry we're facing is that farmers are not we're not being able to make more farmers invest more on the farms. For that, again, SUSL is the pioneer that worked with DCGF in 2008 or 9 for the livestock loan. That I think now is, that time it was just 100 or something, and now it's over 1 million livestock or guaranteed loan that the SUSL is working with, and also facilitating a lot of the cooperatives. And we're also trying to get external investors who could go and invest at the farm level. So we're also trying to pilot. So one is that we want to do a model village, model dairy village that would act as a anchor farm. So that model dairy village, we are trying to have 7 in 7 provinces, and across the 7 provinces, that would be something that would have a large cow farms and open to investment for all the investors who want to invest. But on the other hand, the challenge with the smallholder that we're facing currently is sourcing on the quality of milk, and also on the other hand, sourcing the good semen and all that, like the quality of cow or the livestock that they have it. That's one of the problems. So next is that one key bottleneck we do also face is on the minimum support price of milk. So we would definitely want the price to be anchored by the market. That might, as I told earlier, the currently 60% of the income goes to farmer directly. Then if we let the market function, that might help a bit. Another key bottleneck, it's looking like going to be a good industry, but government's direct involvement in the milk market, and also governments with all right intentions, disruption in the milk market is also kind of been a bit of a challenge for the private dairy farm like ours, because we do not get a lot of subsidies like the government's dairy company get. But on the other hand, we do equally compete. We do have to fight on the same price at the market, and that's where it's been a big challenge for us. As a private dairy, we government is giving X amount of money to its own company, but then which is not being able to pay for the farmers. But on the other hand, we do compete on the market. We do compete on each sector, and that's kind of being a bit more of a challenge for us as a private sector industry. So this is. These are the key things for us. On the other hand, we're fighting. We're trying to make farmers rich as well as the consumer happy. So that's our motto. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nishant sir, for sharing SUSL Dairy's challenges so openly with us today. And a big thank you to all our presenters for sharing your experiences with us today. It has come to my attention that our chief guest, Mr. Ramu Paudel, has arrived, and as most of us know, inclusive finance and investment are central to today's discussion, making the role of Nepal Rashtra Bank especially important in shaping an enabling ecosystem for agricultural enterprise growth. It is my honor to now invite our chief guest, Mr. Ramu Paudel, Executive Director of Nepal Rashtra Bank, to deliver his remarks.
Good evening, all of you. Thank you for inviting Nepal Rashtra Bank, me, and I think one of our representative from Microfinance Supervision Department, Mr. Pamesh Pokhrel, is also here. It's very much pleasure to hear your presentations here from different starts of cooperatives, SUSL Dairy, and private equity ventures. And yes, of course, Nepal Rashtra Bank is one of the most regulating agency to the bank and financial institutions. And the bank and financial institutions are intermediaries which are also working with the different cooperatives, farmers, and different groups for these missions. And I think in the last 10 years of the period, in the agriculture sector, the change of the seed, there is a lot of progress. Still, there are many challenges. Yes, of course, there is inclusion, but even it is not sufficient in financings. There are gaps and challenges. And if we see the progress of the last 10 years, there was only, we can see 200, before 10 years ago, there is only 251 billion of agriculture financing by bank and financial institutions. And to date, it has been increased a lot and reached to 710 billion Nepalese rupees. So there is progress, and Nepal Rashtra Bank has issued a very good guidelines and directive to the bank and financial institutions for these to meet the financing gaps in the agriculture, and at least 10% of the total total credit should be provided to the agriculture sectors, and for these to increase the productivity, to meet our goal of sustainable goal, and to upgrade from the LDCs. So far it has been achieved, but there are still very much challenges, and banks has been reached with the access in each corners and all the local communities, but still the farmers, the needy farmers, are not being able to get the credit and financing from the banks and financial institutions. I think there are the banks are also bankers colleagues are also present here, and there are problems in the because banks sometimes much reluctant to engage with the each and individual farmers in the small scale of the loan. So this problem should be or is being solved by these companies, these startups, these cooperatives. And in the recent days, because of the many problems we have been observing in cooperative sectors and many real sector companies, the banks are also facing, and the intermediation gap, there is a little gap, and because of that, the financing that has been provided by the banks and financial institutions has not been recovered well, and the non-performing loan of the banks and financial sector in this sector has been massively increased from 2% to 10%. But still there is no way, because this is the one of the most important sector for the development and economic growth of the Nepal to achieve the targeted gross domestic product of Nepal. So we have minimum requirement for the banks and financial institutions, at least 10% of the total credit to be provided to the agriculture sectors. And there is also deprived sector lending also for those who are not those who have not collateral, those who cannot reach to the banks and cannot present their collateral. At that situations, at least 5% of the credit to be provided to the deprived sectors. So the cooperatives, large number of cooperatives are working with the microfinance financial institutions regulated by the banks and regulated by Nepal Rashtra Bank in the development and production of the agriculture sectors. But still again, the result is so far not satisfactory. There are issues, there are problems, there are gaps, and I have seen because why this is the problem is not being solved due to that much of encouragement done by the government, and there are many other facilitating group like you and government as well as regulatory agencies. This is because of the one of the problem is the financial literacy, because banks sometimes, in many times, I feel, do not guide the farmers, small farmer, those who want such type of credit. And because our circulars, our directives, our regulatory standards are in the books or are in the circulars, and the farmers don't know, even not known about these things. So there is gap about this, because we have many policies to solve that problem, because we have deprived sector lending policies for those who wants to start such type of business or activities. Likewise, we have the very much flexibility given to the farmers and to those needy borrowers regarding to the valuation of the collateral also, and also the interest rate and the premium and charge to those farmers to be minimum, that is also capped. So even with these policies and flexibility, the farmers and our communities are not being able to take the benefit from these facilities. And yes, of course, sometimes such type of facilities and such type of benefit are taken by large groups and large companies, those who are not actively engaged in such type of value addition or agriculture activities or seed of the change. So I think the discussion, the presentation today, from today, will benefit to solve the problem, and we will get the feedback what further policies we can revise, come up with these to solve these problems, because we are also in the process of formulating the monetary policy of the coming new fiscal year. So I also get benefited from those presentations and statements that is presented by different cooperatives and Sujal Dairy and private equity ventures, and very much hopeful and confident that in the coming days such type of problem we can solve together to change our mission, because even the great harvest starts from a small seed. So we have to transform with this seed of change, and I think this is my brief address on it. We are happy to work together with bank and financial institutions, with those institutions intermediating with farmers and cooperatives as well, though we will not directly regulate and supervise or directly provide the credit to the cooperatives and such type of activities, but we want to actively engaged with the farmers through our banks and financial institutions to solve this financing gap. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ramu sir, for sharing your perspectives. We now move to our lightning presentations on finance architecture session, where we will hear how innovative financing models from across the region and globally are helping to unlock investment, manage risk, and strengthen resilience in the agriculture sector. I will invite each speaker one by one. We begin with the Rabobank Foundation virtually on guarantee facilities and affordable financing models. Apologies to our virtual participants for the delay, and thank you so much for your patience.
Can you all hear me and see me? Sure. Well, a big thank you to the Heifer International team for inviting our foundation to this convening, and apologies that we could not make it in person due to some pre-scheduled commitments, but it's a privilege to be part of this gathering virtually. I think if it's okay, I will make a short presentation, and I will share my screen for the same. Yeah. So Rabo Foundation is a charity arm of Rabobank. Rabobank is the world's largest food and agribusiness bank. And we believe in investing in a sustainable future and our focus as to how to bring about positive change for smallholder farmers. The foundation, of course, when the bank is more than 130 years old at the moment, and a cooperative bank made up a large number of Dutch farmers in the 1890s. The foundation itself was created in 1974, having completed its 52nd year, and we're active in 22 countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And we have an overall allocation of about 60 million euros in 2024. This is a little dated number. Number has gone up a little, and we are working with over 400 organizations across the globe. And we also have an affiliate entity called Rabo Rural Fund, which is being created more as a graduation fund for customers who work for Rabo Foundation, which is also doing allocations of $63 million and working with 69 organizations. Now, our role is largely to provide 4 pillars. Access to finance, where we offer loans, grants, and credit guarantees that allow organizations engaged in the smallholder agriculture value chains to scale up their business, and for value chain actors to provide their constituents or their farmers access to finance and other services. So we finance and enable finance into various value chain actors, including farmers, farmer cooperatives, farmer aggregators, traders, SMEs, and innovators. We also provide a lot of access to knowledge, and we provide insights into how organizations can operate better and be more impactful. Our network as a large food and agribusiness banks foundation is quite strong, and we connect our partners with other financiers and technical experts in a way that we strengthen the value chain. And last but not the least, we give access to innovative solutions, working with our partners, agtechs and fintechs, where we actively work with them to scale up access to data-driven products and services. So our work largely revolves around these 4 pillars. And in terms of the instruments of finance, which is relevant for, I guess, this gathering, we have 5 products. We do have grants, or what we call technical assistance, as a smaller component. We largely do trade finance, where we directly provide trade finance and supply chain finance solutions to organizations, farmer organizations, SMEs, cooperatives, to bridge the gap between buying a farmer's produce and selling it in the local market or export market. So we finance the working capital gap. We provide regular loans, both working capital and term loans, for the various funding requirements of our customers. And it's a product that we are also very enthusiastic about in Nepal, as in some other geographies. We provide credit guarantees to financial institutions that are lending local currency products to various borrowers. And given that we are a relatively small foundation by global standards, our ticket sizes are small but relevant for the smallholder agri value chain. We work between 100,000 to about 1.5 million euros for the Rabo Foundation. Rural Fund would have slightly larger products because they are graduation customer focused product. Now in Asia, we work in 5 countries: India, Indonesia, Vietnam, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. We have an outstanding portfolio today of about 27-28 million euros, a slightly rated number, of which India would be about 50% and the others would be the other geographies. And we work with about 65 organizations, which are financial service providers, SMEs, and producer organizations. And we're about 9 people, of which 6 people are working in Asia, living in Asia between India, Indonesia, and Vietnam. I myself am based in Bangalore, India, and I have been indeed focused on building our portfolio in Nepal in the recent past. We have also worked with one organization, Akista is a customer, and we are working with their Netherlands-based entity to begin with, and our loan application to Akista Nepal right now awaits NRB approval. It's on the desk of NRB, and we are working to secure approval for the same. And we hope to also do say 3 to 4 transactions with financial institutions and with the real sector cooperatives and SMEs, largely in partnership and references by our friends at Heifer International. Maybe now I'll just give a few examples of innovative finance. And these are examples that have been done in the past and many of which are applicable in the Nepal agriculture finance context. The first is the credit guarantee product. Now, this is a product we've deployed at scale in India, and it's a development product which enhances lending to producer organizations, SMEs, and farmers. Now, in India, of course, it's denominated in INR, and in Nepal, it will be denominated in the NPR local currency. And we have the capability of taking a first loss position for such a portfolio guarantee, but also a pari passu or equal and proportional risk sharing guarantee with the lender on either a single loan or a portfolio of loans. A single loan could be, for example, a loan to Sujal Dairy, and then we take a risk participation share of say 50% along with a local Nepalese bank. We could also take a portfolio guarantee where we could take a first loss position of 5% on a portfolio of say 10 crore Nepali rupees. So that could be, and that loan portfolio could be to farmer producer organizations and cooperatives. So, and with Heifer, indeed, we are working to create a USD 750,000 guarantee product, which will have a 10x leverage to create a USD 7.5 million equivalent of lending to the agriculture cooperatives. Now, the important part of this product is that this will be a local currency product, which means it leverages the liquidity which is available in the Nepalese market, and in the current liquidity surplus, that's a good solution. And it will also help build the product for local financial institutions with their credit enhancement and the risk mitigation products. And we have some of the partners in India which are on your screens, and we hope to add Nepalese financial institutions also to this book. We also have another example which I can lay out here, that we have also been lending to the agri-tech financing, the new startups and innovators, where we are giving a guarantee to a local financial institution. Now, we did this in India with an entity called Caspian Impact Investment. Some of you will be aware in the room, which is lending to these agri-tech startups. And this is the first startup of scale, first working capital facility of scale for agri-tech focused startups, which have difficulty being profitable over the first few years and are unable to raise capital from the commercial banks. And this is a portfolio guarantee of 2 million euros, which leveraged 20 million of debt capital to the startups. We also have some portfolio guarantees which we worked with Napkisan, again a large Indian financier, where we worked with the larger FPOs, the missing middle, as they say, who have graduated from smaller loans but do not have an enabling environment of larger loans. And we also worked with SMEs who are working with farmers, where we gave slightly longer term debt of 3 years through our financing partners and enabled lending of USD $4 million. And last but not the least, we have a commodity finance program. This is a program which concluded in 2023, where we provided a pari passu guarantee for the credit loss on the loan portfolio of commodity finance loans to farmer producer organizations. But we also provided a price risk guarantee where we paid the margin call on behalf of the farmer producer organization to the lending institution when the commodity price went below a certain benchmark price. And therefore, a higher loan to value or LTV was provided, which provided a higher realization for the farmer producer organization at the time of storage. And this dealt with the risk of price fall, which can erode the capital of small and nascent cooperatives or producer organizations and helps get them access to storage finance. With this, I will stop my presentation and I hope this has been useful for the group.
Thank you so much to the Rabobank Foundation team for such a detailed presentation. Now we will hear from SEI about RAIF virtually, who will present on adaptation finance opportunities and investment pathways.
Can you hear me? Yes. Again. No. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Hi, I'm Corrado Totti. I'm the project director of the Inclusive Climate Finance for Vulnerable Communities in Asia Pacific project, which is funded by the German government to the tune of 20 million and is and as one of the implementation countries, Nepal. So the aim of the project is to channel private finance from institutional private investors into vulnerable rural communities with a specific attention to the most vulnerable parts of those communities, such as women. And we channel finance through a Regional Adaptation Investment Facility, which will be presented later by my colleague Silvia, which is online as well, through the financial service providers in Nepal and from the financial service providers into the local vulnerable communities, the local vulnerable communities in Nepal. We have an overall target of 250 million euro of private financial flows to catalyze. And the project is a consortium-based project that SEI leads and is participated by APRACA. I see Dr. Prasoon Kumar Das online, and by ADA in Luxembourg. The Regional Adaptation Investment Facility is of extreme relevance for Nepal. So Silvia, who is part of the company Avanzi, who has been awarded the tender for managing the Regional Adaptation Investment Facility, will present you with the details of this facility. And I give the floor to her. Silvia, please.
Hi all, I hope you can hear us well and you can see the slides. So thank you, Corrado, for the introduction, and it was very interesting to follow your presentation earlier on. Indeed, as Corrado mentioned, the RAIF, so the Regional Adaptation Investment Facility that we are working to set up, it's a facility that is part of the ICA project that Corrado was describing just now. So first of all, just quickly about the company I'm representing. So Avanzi is an Italian think and do tank, which is operating since almost 30 years now in sustainability with a focus on creating impact through social innovation. Avanzi has a track record of developing financing instruments and managing venture investment funds, and is now very lucky to have the opportunity to be in charge of this challenging but also very promising project, which is setting up this regional adaptation financing facility. So what is the RAIF about? It's basically a regional financing scheme with that has the objective to mobilize private capital The goal is to enable climate vulnerable SMEs as well as SMEs that are offering themselves products and services that are relevant for adaptation and resilience to climate change to access finance. The way the RAIF intends to do so, it's by basically we are setting the facility up as a bridge between the supply of capital to the private and public investors on the one hand, and the demand of capital on the other side. The demand of capital obviously referring to the climate SMEs, with a focus on Nepal as well as 5 other countries that are listed on the slide: Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, Fiji, and Laos, with indeed Nepal being a very important priority country to the RAIF. How are we planning to do so? It's by creating a framework that where investors and the receivers of capital can meet. And what is important to know is that as part of the ecosystem, the way we are intending to reach the climate vulnerable SMEs, it's through what we define financial service providers, so the FSPs. So as part of our ecosystem, we are actively engaging on the one hand with the investors, the public and private investors, as I just mentioned, and on the other hand, with either microfinance institutions or commercial banks, or as well as directly with cooperatives and larger organizations that have the ability to directly absorb capital. So the RAIF is setting up basically as a bridge between these two worlds, with the hope to facilitate the financial flows between one side and the other. Corrado already mentioned quickly some of the KPIs that we have been setting up. So the goal is to reach 250 million euro. It's to investment amount and to attract at least 10 of the international private investors and have them engaged, as well as to raise a 6 million concessional envelope to be deployed as risk-absorbing capital. So because finance is the tool we are deploying to address the challenges in adaptation in these countries and in Nepal in particular, what we are doing right now, it's basically defining and setting up the financial toolbox that we want to deploy through the RAIF. So what is the financial toolbox? We are currently setting it up again. So we are currently in a phase of discovering what is required on the market, what is the demand, and what can work best. But basically, it will be formed of different facilities. There will be a guarantee facility for the risking investments. There will be a funding facility actually providing capital to FSPs, so to these financial service providers, and then who are in turn providing the capital and deploying the capital to beneficiaries. And then there will be a direct access window. So the RAIF manager, so that's going to be us, will be setting up these different sets of agreements, as I was mentioning before, on the one side with the investors and on the other side with the financial service providers. When it comes to the timeline of implementation, as we mentioned, basically we are now in the inception phase. We are setting up the facility. We are getting in touch with players on the ground. We are presenting the concept idea, as in this situation, to relevant stakeholders and doing all the work that is required to structure the facility. We aim to launch the facility before the end of the year, so November should be the official launch. And then we have until 2029 for the deployment and the, of course, monitoring, reporting, and learning of the results, and to catalyze finance from additional investors. As a final phase, we will be thinking about how to make this initiative sustainable and how to transform the RAIF in the longer term. More specifically for 2026, indeed, we are very much focused now on the internal setup And then in the fall, we will be attending a number of conferences from AVPN to IMF and other conferences in the region to introduce the RAIF to investors and FSPs, and then be ready for the global launch in November. So the brief and take-home message, I would say, it's if this is something that you consider interesting for the work that you're doing, either because you are on the investor side of the story or because you are on the receiver side of the story, either as FSPs or as cooperatives, please do get in touch. This is exactly the moment where we can shape things together, because we are very happy to hear about people who are on the ground and people who are on the field, what the needs are and how we can make this work in a most effective way. So feel free to get in touch. In particular, before the end of the month, we will be launching a short engagement survey as well, to reach out and to collect further insights from investors as well as recipients of capital. I will leave it at this, and then of course we remain available for questions or further discussions.
Thank you to the SEI team. Finally, we invite APRACA on stage to share insights on regional financial networks and partnership opportunities. Apologies, virtually.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you from Bangkok. My sincere apologies. I could not reach on time because I'll be reaching Kathmandu on this Sunday, but unfortunately not today. So I do have a presentation, but before we go for the presentation, I just want to give you a little idea that I was listening to all of you, and we see a lot of challenges the sector, development sector, especially the financial sector, is facing. However, we could see that if you go to the historical part of it, you will see that most of these challenges are being tackled through collaborations. Because none of us are equipped with all the skills and abilities or capabilities. So we need collaboration. So as I say, the challenges of tomorrow demand collaboration today. So can I have the presentation, please? Yeah, it will be a presentation is there, but I don't know whether you guys will do the presentation or you want me to do the presentation. Yes. Yep. Thank you. So if you see this, I'm from Asia Pacific Rural Agricultural Credit Association, and fortunately Nepal is one of the founding member of APRACA, which was established in 1977 to support that time we don't use the word smallholder farmer, but we used to use the word as a small farmers. So it was basically started by the FAO of the UN, along with the central banking system from all over this region, to support the smallholder farmer. With a common platform where we provide the platform for the financial institutions to come together, discuss, and finalize what they are going to support to their own farming community. But at the same time, we also do a lot of other works. I just want to give you the next slide, please. As you can see that it's a brief about APRACA, as I already said, that we are now in 24 countries, and with 95 financial institutions are working with us. At the same time, we are working with many of the international agencies, including Heifer International. Next, please. We have a governance which is very clear, governance and General Assembly Executive Committee and the Secretariat. Secretariat is based here in Bangkok. Next slide, please. So you see that we have 3 offices at the same time. We have the Center of Excellences in another 4 countries. So we are present, as an office, we are present in 7 countries, but as partners, we are present in 24 countries. Next, please. We do work with our strategic objective and focus areas, which are mainly biennial. Strategic objectives are for a 5-year, and this strategic objective is 25 to 2030, which will complete along with the SDG. The focus area are green climate finance, value chain strengthening, risk proofing, and digital financial services. Next, please. Now, if you see the pillars of our intervention, policy engagement, capacity building, project implementation, advisory services, and knowledge management services. As I already said, that these are the collaboration where we do. Next, please. So, and this, you can see the APRACA and the community of practices. We are part of a global community. APRACA is based in Asia. We have our sister agencies, AFRACA in Africa, NENARACA in West Asia, ALIDE in Latin America, and SICA in Europe. So we work together but our region demand different, their aspirations are different. So we work regionally, but we are basically a part of the global community. APRACA is also working closely with many international platforms. One of the platforms, as you are maybe knowing about SAFIN, which is currently hosted by FAST Partnership in FAO Rome, where APRACA is currently chairing the steering committee of SAFIN. We are also one of the founding member of CAFI SSF, and we are currently the vice chair. We are also in the Agri-PDB platform, which is also hosted by FAO and AFD France. Currently, we are member also of the steering committee. Next, please. Now you can see that, some of our notable projects. So as already Corrado said about the ECAP project, we are working with them. But at the same time, we also work with Mekong Institute for this Greater Mekong sub-region. We work closely with FAO because FAO is our mother organization. And we also work closely with IFAD. You can see from our high impact project implementation. And Nepal fortunately is one of our priority countries. Next, please. You can see now our development partners. We have the development partner, a long list of development partners. We do work on the knowledge, as I already said, and these are some of the publications. We do the publication in collaboration with the international agency. We never do publication alone. So it's a strategy of APRACA to work with the global agencies so that the publication come out and it has a larger impact. Next, please. Thank you. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer. Thank you very much.
Today, the solutions presented today demonstrate that innovative finance is simply not about making more money available. It is about creating the right structures, partnerships, and incentives to ensure that capital reaches those who need it the most. Now, we invite Mr. Ramu on stage to receive a small token of love by Ms. Neena Joshi. We will now take a short tea break. Please enjoy the refreshments, connect with your fellow participants, go through our gallery, and visit our cooperative product stalls at the back. I request everyone to please be seated. Everyone, please be seated. Everyone, please be seated. I now request Mr. Ashutosh Tiwari, Managing Director of SAFAL Partners, to be present on stage.
Okay, so I would like to invite Mr. Narhari Silwal, a global IME, to join me on the stage, please. Ms. Kajol Bajacharya, NSCCFL, to please join me on the stage. Ms. Kajol Bajacharya. And likewise, Mr. Bikrant Acharya, DC GF. I would also like to invite Mr. Pramesh Pokhrel, Nepal Rashtra Bank, to be the panel chair. So our conversation, how long do I have? Basically about 50 minutes. So the conversation will be both in English and Nepali. It will be basically about, how do our agro-enterprises overcome the valley of death, and what policy instruments, what finance instruments, and what market solutions there exist for our agro-enterprises to grow out of the beginning phase and move on to the post-investment phase. So that's the whole idea. So let me start, basically. So before that, I would just like to give you a brief sort of like a introduction to this whole concept of valley of death. So valley of death ma ke huncha bhandakeri chai product cha, market cha, already customer पनि छ र entrepreneur ले आफ्नो पैसा खर्च गरिसकेको हुन्छ. अब त्यसपछि के गर्ने भनेर थाहा हुँदैन. अब त्यो अरु पनि प्रोडक्ट निकाल्न, अरु पनि बजारमा जानलाई पैसा छैन. ब्याङ्कमा गयो, ब्याङ्कले कोल्याटरलले भन्छ. इन्भेस्टर्सहरुले खासै पत्याएका हुँदैनन्. इट्स गुड, अलि धेरै कस्टमर बनाएर आऊ भनेर भनिन्छ. सो भन्नाले पोटेन्शियल हुँदा हुँदै पनि almost 95% of entrepreneurs fail because the valley of death is so big that they really die, basically. यो संसारभरिको प्रब्लम भयो तर अरू देशमा के गरेको छ भन्दाखेरि दे अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड त्यो ब्रिज चाहिँ ठुलो छ भनेर थाहा भएपछि चाहिँ त्यो ग्याप ठुलो छ भन्ने थाहा भएपछि कसरी ब्रिज गर्ने भनेर दे प्रोभाइड पोलिसी सपोर्ट market support र finance support so that entrepreneurs can basically they can grow out of that and start growing. So basically बच्चाको उदाहरण दिँदाखेरि चाहिँ बच्चाहरू धेरै मर्ने भनेको चान्सेस चाहिँ 1 वर्षदेखि 5 वर्षको बिचमा हो भनौँ न किसिमले हैन 5 वर्ष बाँच्यो भने चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ 18 वर्ष पुग्छ भनेर अलि बढी सम्भावना भन्छ भने जस्तै हामीले 1 वर्षदेखि 5 वर्षमा बचाउन सक्यो भने धेरै बच्चाहरू पहिला त्यो हुँदैन थियो धेरै बच्चाहरू मर्थे त्यो दलले अहिले त्यो हुँदैन हैन बेसिकली किनभने इन्फन्ट मोर्टालिटी डाउन हुनु भनेको चाहिँ अडल्टहुडमा पुग्न सक्ने भनेर सो बेसिकली हामीले चाहिँ यहाँ व्यवसायकै इन्फन्ट मोर्टालिटी इज भेरी हाई इन नेपाल र अक्रस द वर्ल्ड अदर कन्ट्रिज हेभ कम अप विथ पोलिसी सल्युसन्स व्हाट आर आवर्स भन्ने त्यो हिसाबले हामी कुरा गर्छौँ आज सो यसमा चाहिँ म पहिला चाहिँ हाम्रो काजल बजुचार्यबाट सुरु गर्न चाहन्छु हैन बेसिकली अब तपाईहरु चाहिँ you are an organization that works with agri-enterprises, agri-cooperatives. And agri-cooperatives face a lot of problems. So walk us through the challenges that agri-cooperatives face and what your organization has been doing to make sure that those challenges are met as a lobby group, as a trade group for those cooperatives. Kajolji.
Okay, thank you for the question. So for the scene setting, I will like to introduce what our organization is. So Nepal Agriculture Cooperative Central Federation, it is the apex organization of more than 1150 cooperatives. So we cover all the districts of Nepal, and we have in our network more than 1.2 million members, household members in our network. So talking about the agri-enterprises, among the 1150 cooperatives, some 200 cooperatives are already engaged in the agri-enterprises. So they are cooperative-led, the member-owned cooperatives all over the Nepal. So basically they are involved in the agri-value chain of tea, rice, turmeric, and many more products all over the Nepal. So the first challenge that our cooperatives, the agri-enterprises that are led by our cooperatives are facing is the financial constraint. So yes, they have the business plan, they have the plan, and they are also ready to do the agri-enterprises activities, but there is the financial constraint. So this is one of the main constraint that they are facing. Another one is the capacity of the farmers. So yeah, they are the farmers and they are gradually being the entrepreneurs. So their capacity, we have to develop the capacity. So the second one is the capacity. They do not have that capacity to do the agri-enterprises on their own. And the next one is, yes, they okay, so the financial support is also being supported by the cooperatives or any other donors, and they are also capacitated, but they will produce the final product, but they have to compete with this market. So they do not have the appropriate market and they do not have the appropriate pricing for their finished product. And there are also some of the legal hurdles, the policy hurdles that they are facing. So to register or to register legally the agri-enterprises that are led by the cooperatives, they should follow the lingering process. The process is so long, and they also faces the double tax system. For example, one of the cooperatives that is engaged in the tea processing in the eastern part of Nepal, in Japa, so they have to pay tax while collecting the leaves also. And also they have to pay tax while marketing the finished product also. So these are some of the challenges that we are experiencing in our cooperative network.
So yeah, I've been given these challenges, and basically, so you are a lobbyist group, you are a trade group. Are you doing anything to talk to the government, to the stakeholders, saying, look, we need finances, we need to lower these challenges? You are just listing challenges and that's the end of your work.
Yes, we are doing our best, at our level best. So first we try to capacitate our farmers and the cooperatives through different kinds of trainings, through different kinds of capacity building methods. And we are also linking our cooperatives with the international donors. For example, there is one organization called Asian Farmers Association. So through this association, through this regional association, so we are supporting the business plan that we develop under the project, and we are also financially contributing to their agri-enterprises. This is the second. This is only the example that we are giving. And now we are moving towards the promotion or promoting our agricultural cooperatives and the agri-enterprises that they are leading, because we think that it is one of the best method to involve our farmers and to hire the productivity as well as the production through the agri-enterprises. And also we are lobbying with the government from very long years ago for the establishment of the wholesale market, where the farmers can sell their product on their own.
Okay, I think that's, thank you for that answer. Moving on to Global IMA Bank, so basically we talked with a lot of farmers, farming groups, farming enterprises, and they said that, banks are the hardest nuts to crack, basically. Meaning that we have to show large tracts of land to get collateral, so that land can be used as collateral to get loans and all that. So farmers say, we don't know who the banks give money to in the name of agriculture, but we don't get it. So they'll global IMA ko pursue what makes an agri business or athwa agri enterprise bankable?
Thank you, sir. Basically, ma'amले जुन explain गर्नु भएको छ त्यो hurdle त छ. Still, as a commercial bank, Global IM Bank is focusing on sustainable development of agri SME. That means सानोबाट स्टार्ट गरेर ग्रेजुएट गराउँदै लाने भन्ने हो. हामीसँग जति काम गरिरहनु भएको छ smallholder farmers, they are gradually growing, but meantime what we face is the intent to grow is very fantastic, but the ability what particular agri SMEs they do have themselves from the view of bank, that is not that much scalable at the moment, but the hand holding or let's say support to the SMEs, agri SMEs, is not at expected level from different agencies. We may assume that, or we may expect that from maybe government vertical, from local level government agencies, if they could provide regular basis technical supports, then their scalability may be higher than existing. This is the part with whom right now we are working with. But meantime, for a commercial bank, we have certain limitations, as central bank has guided us not to go with risk premium of 2% in small agri SMEs. So it means we provide loan with 2% risk premium, and 1% we have to provide for loanless provision. So itself for a bank, आफ्नै लागि नै यो चाहिँ like sustainable हो कि होइन, आफ्नै बिजनेस मोडल ब्याङ्कको सस्टेनेबल छैन भने अर्को काउन्टर पार्टीको बिजनेस मोडलको सस्टेनेबिलिटी कसरी हेर्न सक्ला ब्याङ्कले भन्ने एउटा त्यो डिस्कस गर्न सकिने गर्नुपर्ने साइड चाहिँ छ. इट डजन्ट मिन एकदम ठुलो प्रिमियम लिउँ भन्न खोज्या नि होइन. विन विन सिचुएसन भयो भने अझ राम्रो एउटा पार्ट. अर्को पार्ट चाहिँ लाइक हामी ब्याङ्केबल छ छैन भन्ने कुरा एसेस गर्दाखेरि कति हामीले 100 लिडहरू कलेक्ट गरेर अनि काम गर्न थाल्यौँ भने मे नट बी कन्भर्टेड मोर देन 10%. सो हामी 100 सँगै काम गरिसकेका हुन्छौँ बट कन्भर्सन रेट इज भेरी लो. कन्भर्सन रेट लो हुनुको रिजन बेसिकल्ली के पाइन्छ भन्दा उहाँहरूको जस्तै हाम्रो सर्टेन नर्म छ इक्विटीको पार्टिसिपेसन हुनुपर्छ कस्टमर साइडबाट पनि सबै 100% ब्याङ्कले फाइनेन्सिङ गर्ने इज नट पोसिबल. सो इक्विटी पार्टिसिपेसन इज नट क्लियर. फ्रेङ्कली भन्दा डकुमेन्टमा हुन्छ रियल पिक्चरमा छैन. सो त्यो हामीले क्रस चेक गर्नै पर्छ बिकज वी आर द कस्टडियन प्राइमरली अफ डिपोजिटर्स. So these are the basic challenges right now from the eyes of a bank. अर्को एउटा चाहिँ सिम्पल ब्याङ्कभित्रकै कन्स्ट्रेन्ट पनि छन् लाइक एग्री एसएमईमा पर्टिकुलरली जति हाम्रो वर्क फोर्स छ ब्याङ्कभित्रै वर्क फोर्सलाई पनि त्यो लेभलको नलेज नपुग्या अथवा नलेज नभएको हो कि भन्ने त्यो नलेज ग्याप पनि देखिन्छ. सो द्याट इफ ब्याङ्कर्स अथवा एग्री एसएमईमा काम गरिरहेका ब्याङ्कको कर्मचारीसँग प्रपर नलेज हुँदो हो भने उनीहरूले पनि टेक केयर गर्न बढी सक्थ्यो होलान्. एउटा नलेज ग्याप पनि भयो. अर्को नलेज भएर पनि साना स्मल होल्डरलाई हामीले डाइरेक्टली केयर गर्न भ्याइराखेका हुँदैन. मिन्स त्यो पोसिबिलिटी कम हुन्छ ड्यु टु डिफ्रेन्ट रिजन्स. बेसिक यही नै छ सर अहिले.
So yeah, I mean like अहिलेसम्म के च्यालेन्ज आएको छ भने कपासिटी कन्स्ट्रेन्ट छ, फाइनेन्सको कन्स्ट्रेन्ट छ, स्केलेबल अलि भएको छैन. स्केलेबल नभएसम्म ब्याङ्केबल हुन गाह्रो छ. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि धेरै रिस्कहरू छ भन्ने कुरा आयो होइन. त्यस्तै गरेर चाहिँ अरू अब भनौँ न एक किसिमले चाहिँ अब वर्क फोर्सको पनि ब्याङ्कभित्र पनि अब टाइप अफ पिपल दे हायर दे आर नट के अरे नेचुरली एग्रिकल्चर स्पेसलिस्ट नभएर पनि गाह्रो छ भन्ने कुरा आयो. दिज आर द प्रब्लम साइडतिर आयो. अब म चाहिँ हाम्रो विक्रान्त आचार्य होइन विक्रान्त आचार्यलाई म सोध्न चाहन्छु बेसिकली भनेर. अब यसमा चाहिँ तपाईँको संस्थाको रोल के हो? अब यु प्रोभाइड ग्यारेन्टिज, अरूले एक्ट गरेपछि देन यु कम इन टु द सिन. हाउ डु यु सी your institution coming to play in the agri finance sector ma, whereby you provide guarantees or some sort of a भनौँ न promise that loans will not be misused or misused by any, you know, we are sort of like here as the guarantor of the last sword भन्ने खालको के कस्तो प्रोभिजनहरू यहाँको संस्थाले प्रोभाइड गर्छ?
Thank you for भनौँ न त्यो क्वेसन सर. So basically we have product already भनौँ न एग्री CGS पनि प्रोडक्ट छ, एग्रिकल्चर बेस्ड SME बेस्ड प्रोडक्टहरू we already have in our regulations. ब्याङ्कले आई थिङ्क ग्लोबल ब्याङ्कले पनि 2-3वटा लिएकै छ है. अल्टिमेटली वी प्रोभाइड सो मेनी डिस्काउन्ट्स अन NPL एज वेल. जस्तो अघि उहाँले भने जस्तो 1% NPLमा छ भने चाहिँ इफ दे कम टु DCGF आई थिङ्क दे हेभ एन दे क्यान एटलिस्ट गो विथ द डिस्काउन्ट अफ 75% मोर. भनेको मिनिङ इफ द लोन इज अलरेडी अन 1% दे हेभ टु ओन्ली प्रोभाइड 0.25% अन NPL. आई थिङ्क वी प्रोभाइड द्याट काइन्ड अफ थिङ्स टु ब्याङ्क. And further, भनौँ न अस्ति भर्खर आई थिङ्क NRBले पनि वी प्रोड्युस द डिरेक्टिभ्स अबाउट रिस्क वेटेडको लागि पनि होइन. इफ दे हेभ द पोर्टफोलियो द ब्याङ्क लोन द्याट कम टु DCGF आई थिङ्क दे क्यान पुट द रिस्क वेटेड टु 60%. आई थिङ्क अलरेडी टु 60%. सो अहिले 60% पनि आएको छ होइन. सो फर ब्याङ्क वी प्रोभाइड अ लट अफ इन्सेन्टिभ्स एभ्रिथिङ थ्रु सो मेनी थिङ्स के नट ओन्ली भनौँ न प्राइसिङ. आई थिङ्क प्राइसिङको केसमा पनि 0.8% छ. आई थिङ्क गभर्मेन्ट नर्मली प्रोभाइड 50% अफ सब्सिडी. 0.4% छ गभर्मेन्टले नै दिइरहेछ. आई थिङ्क 0.4% मात्र BFIsले दिइरहेछन् बाइ द वे होइन. सो वी आर प्रोभाइडिङ सो मेनी इन्सेन्टिभ्स टु ब्याङ्क एटलिस्ट दे क्यान गो विथ भनौँ न अल द लोन्स द्याट दे वान्ट होइन. बट बाइ द वे यो भन्दा पनि वी हेभ सो मेनी लिमिटेसन फर DCGF साइड. स्पेसली ब्याङ्कले खोजेको जस्तो प्रोडक्ट इफ वी डोन्ट हाइप भन्ने कुरा पनि भइरहेछ होइन. लाइक वी हेभ एन रेगुलेसनमा स्पेसली के भएछ भन्दाखेरि टु एट ब्याङ्कले अब हामीसँग भनौँ न ग्यारेन्टी गरिसकेपछि मोस्ट प्रोभाब्ली दे निड द्याट कम्पेन्सेसन वेन दे निड द मोस्ट भन्ने कुरा हो नि त होइन. सो इन द्याट केस आई थिङ्क हाम्रो रेगुलेसनमा पनि सम हर्डल छ. लाइक ब्याङ्कले चाहिँ 25% रिकभर गर्नै पर्छ भन्ने कुरा छ नम्बर 1. एन्ड देन भनौँ न के भन्छ मच्युरिटी पिरियड भइसकेपछि मात्र गर्ने भन्ने कुरा छ. द्याट इज नट भनौँ न के भन्छ गुड प्र्याक्टिस, इन्टरनेसनल गुड प्र्याक्टिसको अगेन्स्टमै भयो कुराहरू होइन. सो द्याट वी आर ट्राइङ टु चेन्ज द थिङ्स अन अवर like existing traditional product. But recently we are developing all the products that cover first loss basis. I think Global Bank, we already have like one product, Kosi province ko product ma, like we have an agreement, and it is a wonderful product. I think Kosi province ma, they support a lot of SMEs through, I think Swiss embassy provided some fund to Kosi province. Kosi province le to fund DCGF ma bhanam na as an protector राखेको छ administrator को रूपमा हैन, and then against that fund we provide up to 13.33 times of coverage. So we are doing bhanam na like purano traditional ma, I know that there are some limitation on purano traditional product, but we are converting it to some new innovative product that maybe banks likes most हैन. Similarly bhanam na we are also producing recently, I think भर्खर 2-3 दिन भयो अगाडि we produced Agri-CGS product भनेर. It's an individual credit guarantee scheme हैन. It is totally new to BFIs. I think again Global Bank अरु बैंकहरु पनि छ, especially Global Bank side मै भएर Global Bank कै नाम भइरा छ हैन. Agri-CGS product we भनम न केन्सन with the UN को support मा we develop one product that is individual credit guarantee scheme. Especially अहिले सम्म DCGF ले गरिराको scheme भनेको it's an portfolio based scheme. Bank आउने बेलामा they have to come with all portfolios हैन. अब recently we changed it. I think new product छ. It's हामीले कर्णाली, especially कर्णाली province मा जुम्ला, सुर्खेत, सुदूरपश्चिममा we target बैतडी, no, बजाङ, बाजुरा, sorry, बाजुरा and then धनगढी, and then हामीले यता के रे हाम्रो त काभ्रेमा 5 खल्ला पनि टार्गेट गरेर 9 वटा पालिकालाई टार्गेट गरेर we are running some pilot product especially for Agri-CGS, and then त्यसमा पनि we are providing coverage especially individual credit guarantee scheme ल्याछौं so that banks लाई चाहिँ जुन product जुन उनलाई चाहिँ जुन customer they are feeling it भनम it's a risky one, they can come to DCGF भनम न त्यो केसमा चाहिँ, and then coverage पनि we are providing till 70% because अब 100% provide गर्न अलि possible भएन यो केसमा, it's an individual credit guarantee scheme. But in case of Kosi province हामीले 100% coverage गराछौं त्यहाँ पनि, like यदि कुनै पनि customers ले loan pay गर्न सकेन अथवा default भयो and as soon as they classify under substandard or doubtful category, banks can easily claim with DCGF. DCGF will provide all the 100% of claim. So by the way त्यो Kosi province को fund is limited. I think 60 crores को कुरा गरेछ, 600 million को भनम न fund छ. Out of 600 million we are only allowed to give 800 I think 8 billion को loan category छ त्यसमा चाहिँ, but limitation के छ भन्दाखेरि the fund size भन्दा बढीको claim गर्न पाइदैन भन्ने कुरा छ त्यसमा. But by the way त्यो गर्दाखेरि पनि we are covering almost 10 to 12% of NPL. I think that is so much for bank sides. हामीले बैंकसँग डिस्कस गरेर डेभलप गरेको प्रोडक्ट हो. सिमिलरली मैले भन्ने भर्खरै हाम्रो युएन को केसमा पनि only up to 5 times जाने कुरा भइरा छ त्यसमा, 70% को कभरेज दिने कुरा छ त्यसमा हैन. सो 5 times जाने बेलामा 1.5 billion को लोन चाहिँ त्यो 9 वटा पालिकालाई हामीले भनौं न केन्सन डिस्पर्स गर्ने, बैंक थ्रु नै डिस्पर्स गर्ने कुराहरु भइराछ. त्यसमा पनि फर्स्ट लस बेसिसै गइराछ त्यसको पनि. सो आई थिंक बैंकलाई समहाउ अबको पोइन्टमा चाहिँ वी आर ट्राइङ टु मोटिभेट देम एट लिस्ट रिक्वायर्ड सेक्टर, माइक्रो फाइनान्स सेक्टर, डिप्राइभ सेक्टर, एसएमई सेक्टर्सलाई लोन दिउन् उनीहरूले पनि हैन. एन्ड देन DCGF इज देयर टु हेल्प with the help of NRB as well, किन NRB को पनि ठुलै सपोर्ट चाहिन्छ. नो डाउट हामीले NRB सँग अरु पनि कुराहरु भनौं न इन टर्म्स अफ माइक्रो फाइनान्स गर्नुपर्ने छ. रिसेन्टली भनौं न आई थिंक सर पनि माइक्रो फाइनान्सबाटै हुनुभयो. यही फरममा मैले सरलाई भने लाइक हाम्रो पुरानो प्रोडक्टमा चाहिँ वी हैव टु वेट टिल मैच्युरिटी भन्ने कुरा आइराछ हैन. अब वी आर ट्राइङ टु आई थिंक अहिले भर्खरै NRB ले चाहिँ एउटा डाइरेक्टिभ्स के निकाल्यो भन्दाखेरि आइदर यु क्लेम एज सुन एज पोसिबल विथ DCGF, अदरवाइज यु आर नट अलाउड टु गेट अल द भनौं न लाइक प्रोभिजन बेनिफिट द्याट यु आर गेटिङ भनेर चाहिँ NRB ले डिरेक्टिभ्स निकाल्यो थियो. त्यो डिरेक्टिभ्सको अगेन्स्टमा आई थिंक वी वेन्ट टु बोर्ड, हामीले एउटा बोर्डको डिसिजन पनि गराएको छौँ. वी आर ट्राइङ टु चेन्ज अवर पोलिसी, बट टिल द्याट डेट आई थिंक यदि NRB ले त्यसमा सम सपोर्ट देखाइदियो भने इट विल बी बेनिफिट फर अल द माइक्रो फाइनान्स सेक्टर एज वेल. एन्ड देन यसमा के भयो भन्दाखेरि हामीहरूको एउटा प्रमिस भनौँ अथवा के अरे एउटा कमिटमेन्टै भयो. वी आर चेन्जिङ अवर पोलिसी. आई थिंक इट माइट चेन्ज, किन क्याबिनेटबाटै एप्रुभ हुनुपर्छ. सो इट विल टेक टाइम भन्ने कुरा छ. सो ग्यारेन्टी प्रोस्पेक्टले नो डाउट BFIsलाई पनि अहिले हामीले हेल्प गर्दैछौँ. वी आर ट्राइङ टु डेभलप न्यू प्रोडक्ट्स जसले भनौँ न लाइक डिप्राइभ सेक्टर, एग्रिकल्चर सेक्टर, अल जति पनि रिक्वायर्ड सेक्टर्स हुन्छ त्यसमा हामी पुग्न चाहिँ खोजिरहेको छौँ हैन, विथ द हेल्प अफ अल डेभलपमेन्ट एजेन्सिज राइट नाउ. किन इट्स लाइक इन स्टार्टिङ फेज छ हैन. DCGF क्यानट डु इट अलोन फर्स्टमा. एटलिस्ट DCGFमा सम काइन्ड अफ फन्ड चाहिँ लार्ज क्यापेसिटीमा हुनु पर्यो अनि बल्ल हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा भयो हैन. सो स्विसको भयो हेल्प भयो युएनको भयो आई थिङ्क वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्क इज देयर वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कको कमिटमेन्टै छ हामीसँग होइन एन्ड देन फर्दर एडिबी इज अल्सो देयर नाफा भन्ने प्रोजेक्ट इज भनौँ न दे आर ट्राइङ टु गो विथ अल दिस हिलिज एरियाजमा जान खोजिरहेछ होइन सो द्याट इज द पोइन्ट डिसिजिएफले चाहिँ ब्याङ्कलाई पनि सब्सिडाइज गर्न खोजिरहेछ इन टर्म्स लोकल गभर्मेन्टलाई पनि हेल्प गर्न खोजिरहेछ र एसएमई र एग्री सेक्टर र डिप्राइभ सेक्टरलाई पनि ट्राई टु भनौँ न के भन्छन् हेल्प गर्ने खोजिरहेछ
ओके सो यसमा के कुरा आयो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब तपाईँले भने जस्तै अब ब्याङ्कमा काम गर्दा गर्दै पनि धेरै रेगुलेटरी हर्डल्स भन्ने कुरा आयो अब तपाईँको संस्था पनि काम गरिरहेको छ डिजिसिएफले पनि होइन अब राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कमा प्रवेश गाउँदाखेरि म के भन्छु भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब हामीले भनौँ न मोनिटरी पोलिसीलाई एक सेन्टेन्समा समराइज गर्ने हो भने वेयर एन्ड हाउ द मनी फ्लोज इन अ सिस्टम हो क्या बेसिकली भनेर नि होइन वेयर एन्ड हाउ भनेर वेयर भन्नाले अब कहाँ पुऱ्याउने भनेर पनि त्यसलाई सर्टेन लेभलहरू उ गर्न सकिन्छ बेसिकली भनेर अब इन्फ्लेसनको कुरा अहिले नगरौँ तर बाई एन्ड लार्ज त्यही नै हो अब त्यही नेपाली चाहिँ अमेरिका गएर टर्की फार्म सुरु गर्यो भने उसले लोन सबै पाउँछ राम्रो गर्छ होइन सिधो पार्टीले उसको बारेमा कथा लेखिदिन्छ तर त्यही नेपाली चाहिँ यहाँ चितवनमा अथवा कतै लाइफ स्टकको अथवा चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चरमा गऱ्यो भने न लोन पाउँछ न के पाउँछ भ्याल्यु अफ डेथमै ऊ मर्छ भनौँ न किसिमले सो वाट इज इट अबाउट अ रेगुलेटरी रिजिम द्याट इज स्टपिङ द क्यास टु फ्लो टु अन्टरप्रेन्योर्स फार्मर्सहरूमा के हाम्रो पाइपिङ र त्यो हाम्रो चाहिँ लिभरिङ मिलिरहेको छैन जसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अल दिस हर्डल्स किप अन कमिङ होइन स्पेसली भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ आर वी ट्रिटिङ एग्रिकल्चर लाइक एनी अदर सेक्टर हो कि अथवा एग्रिकल्चर रिक्वायर्स सर्टेन नुवान्स्ड एन्ड अल्सो केटर्ड मेबी अ टेलर्ड पर्सपेक्टिभ भनेर नबुझेको हो कि अथवा चाहिँ वी आर जस्ट टु रिस्क अभर्स एज इट इज एग्रिकल्चर इज अ भेरी रिस्की सेक्टर on top of that we are risk averse so त्यसले गर्दाखेरि त the no money flows and the money just stays piled up in the banks भन्दाखेरि there is a serious mismatch between demand and supply हैन यसमा रेगुलेटरी रेजिमको थिङ्किङ के हो भनेर त्यसमा क्लियर पार्दिनुहोस् प्रमेशजी अनि त्यसपछि डु वी हेभ सम सोल्युसन्स गोइङ फरवर्ड भनेर प्लिज
थ्याङ्क यू सर फर्स्टमा म डिसिजिएफकै केसबाट आउँछु अलिकति हामी क्ल्यारिफाई हुन पनि जरुरी छ किनभने सरले जुन कुराहरू गर्नुभयो त्यो ठ्याक्कै जस्तो एनआरबीको डिरेक्टिभ नयाँ भर्खर आएकोमा चाहिँ डिसिजिएफको प्रोभिजनभन्दा फरकको जुन कुरा गर्नुभयो त्यो होइन त्यो एकदमै पुरानो डिरेक्टिभ हो त्यो हाम्रो के हुन्छ भने जस्तो आरबिआईले निकालेको डिरेक्टिभहरू चाहिँ एभ्री टाइम नयाँ आउँदाखेरि जुन डिरेक्टिभ चेन्ज भयो ठ्याक्क त्यसैमा मात्रै सर्कुलर एक्स्ट्रा निकाल्छ एउटा छुट्टै पेपर हुन्छ हाम्रो केसमा अगाडि जुन थियो त्यसमा नेक्स्ट आउँछ त्यसमा हाइलाइटेड गरेर आएको चिज नयाँ प्रोभिजन एड भएको होइन भने त्यो पुरानै कन्टिन्यू हो त्यो अर्थमा कस्तो खालको प्रोभिजन छ भने अब जस्तो हेरौँ न ल एउटा केस नै कुरा गरौँ डिस्कसनमै जस्तो 5 वर्षसम्मको लागि कसैले लोन दिएको छ भने एनआरबीको डिरेक्टिभले के भन्छ भने कुनै लोन ब्याड भएको 1 वर्षभित्र चाहिँ क्लेम गरिसक्नुपर्छ होइन भने तिमीले जुन लोनलाई लोनको 25% मात्रै प्रोभिजनिङ गर्दा पुग्छ त्यो प्रिभिलेज तिमीले पाउँदैनौ भन्ने प्रोभिजन छ त्यो भनेको अर्थ के भयो भने मानौ कुनै लोन चाहिँ 5 वर्षको लागि दिएको छ भने उसले 1 वर्षसम्ममा ब्याड भयो ब्याडको 1 वर्षसम्ममा उसले क्लेम गरिसक्नुपर्छ तर डिसिजिएफसँगको एग्रिमेन्टमा के छ भने लोनको टेन्योर एन्ड भएको 2 वर्षभित्र क्लेम गर्न पर्छ भन्ने छ त्यो भनेको हामीले भनेको टाइमभित्रमा उसले क्लेम गर्नै पाउँदैन भनेपछि के देखियो त भन्दा हामीले हाम्रो चाहिँ मोर प्रुडेन्ट छ म त्यहाँनिर स्ट्यान्ड लिन्छु किन के अर्थमा भने जुन लोनीले चाहिँ तिमीलाई 1 वर्ष ब्याड हुन्जेलसम्म त तिम्रो आइसक्नु पर्थ्यो ब्याड भएको अर्को 1 वर्षसम्म पनि तिमीलाई तिर्या छैन भने त्यसमा त तिमी 100% गएको लोनलाई तिमी 25% मा मात्रै प्रोभिजनिङ गरेर त तिम्रो एडिक्वेट प्रोभिजनिङ त भएन त्यसले गर्दा तिमीले 100% प्रोभिजनिङ गर्नै पर्छ त्यसमा हामीले प्रिभिलेज दिँदैनौँ भन्ने हाम्रो प्रोभिजन हो हालाकि त्यो चिजमा हामीले इन्फोर्स गरेको छैन तपाईँहरूलाई पनि थाहा छ होइन त्यसपछि तपाईँहरूको प्रोभिजनले के भन्छ 5 वर्षसम्म तिमी क्लेम नै गर्न पाउँदैनौ भनिसकेपछि हामीले कहिलेसम्म त्यो पर्खिनु पर्यो 7 वर्षसम्म त्यो लोन चाहिँ जुन लोनीले 1 वर्षमै तिरेको छैन त्यसको 7 वर्षसम्म हामी पर्खिएर अब चाहिँ तिर्ला भनेर त्यो 7 वर्षसम्म चाहिँ 25% मात्रै प्रोभिजनिङ दिँदाखेरिको अर्थ के हो भन्दा त्यो टाइमसम्ममा त त्यो प्रोभिजनिङ नराखेको पैसा त डिस्ट्रिब्युटेबल प्रफिटमा गयो भनेको त्यो चिज त तपाईँहरूको रिस्क मिटिगेसनको लागि जुन हुनु पर्थ्यो त्यो चाहिँ तपाईँहरूको डिस्ट्रिब्युसन गर्ने चिजमा काम लागिरहेछ क्या त्यसले गर्दा हामीले त्यसमा अलिकति 2 वर्षभन्दा माथिकोमा छ भने चाहिँ त्यसमा हामी दिँदैनौँ भनेर भनिरहेछौँ अनि अर्को ठ्याक्कै त्यसमा 25% को कुरा जुन गर्नुभयो त्यो चाहिँ 25% को कुरा चाहिँ हाम्रो डाइरेक्टिभमा छैन, त्यो चाहिँ सरहरूको आफ्नै एग्रिमेन्टमा छ। त्यसले चाहिँ 25% चाहिँ लोन उसको टेन्युरभित्र तिरिसक्नुपर्छ भन्ने छ। अनि त्यो 25% चाहिँ उसले त्यसैको लागि अब कुनै पनि संस्थाले 5 वर्षसम्म त्यो लोन पालेरै बस्छ कि, किनभने ताकि 5 वर्षभित्रमा 25% त देला नि त भनेर पालेर बस्ने कन्डिसन छ। अब सरले भन्नुभएको उसमा अब आउँ, लोनहरू अब कस्तो कन्डिसन छ भने यहाँ अब अघि पिच भयो, उहाँहरूले 4 करोड भन्नुहुन्छ, 20 लाख भन्नुहुन्छ, 10 लाख भन्नुहुन्छ। त्यो चिजहरू ब्याङ्कहरू चाहिँ मैले लोन माग्न आउने मान्छे भेट्टा छैन भनेर ब्याङ्क भनिरहेछ। जो एग्रिकल्चरमा ठ्याक्कै लागिराख्नु भएको हुन्छ उहाँहरूले पैसै पाउनु भएको छैन। अनि अब अझ मैले यहाँ होलसेल लेन्डरहरू देखेँ, माइक्रो फाइनेन्सको पनि रिटेल लेन्डरहरू छन्। त्यसपछि उनीहरूले सहुलियतपूर्ण कर्जा हुन्छ। रिटेल लेन्डरहरूको 5 लाखसम्मको त उसले बिना धितो नै दिन्छ, उसले धितो नै माग्दैन, समूह बनाएर लान सक्छ। त्यस्तो चिजहरूमा चाहिँ अलिकति कोलाबोरेसन हुने, अनि त्यो भनेको त्यो जुन ग्याप छ नि त्यो चाहिँ इन्फर्मेसनको ग्याप, त्यो दिने पनि रेडी छ, पर्खेर बसेको छ। कस्तो भएको छ भने यो ठाउँमा ऊ काउन्टर खोलेर बसेको छ, लिने मान्छे त्यो काउन्टरमा बसेको छ, जबकि त्यो काउन्टरमा दिने मान्छे छैन के। त्यो ग्याप चाहिँ त्यो कसरी त्यो लिङ्क गर्ने भन्ने चिज चाहिँ अब मोर अफ म चाहिँ मार्केटले नै बुझ्नुपर्छ भन्छु। किनभने हाम्रो प्रोभिजनहरूले त एग्रिकल्चरलाई कतिको प्रायोरिटी दिएको छ भन्ने त कसरी पनि बुझिन्छ भन्दा हामीले 10% द्याट हेज टु गो अप टु 13% चाहिँ ग्रेजुअली त्यस्तो प्रोभिजनहरू छ एभ्री इयर बढाउँदै लगेर। त्यो भनेको त टोटल पोर्टफोलियोको तिम्रो 10% त एग्रिकल्चरमा गर्नै पर्छ, अरू जुनसुकैमा गर भनेर जुन छोड्या छ भने चाहिँ अरू चिजमा जेसुकै गरे पनि हामीलाई एग्रिकल्चरमा चाहिँ तिमी जानै पर्छ, किनभने त्यो भोलि खान पाइएन भने त अरू जेसुकै गरेर पनि त हुँदैन। त्यसले गर्दा एटलिस्ट एग्रिकल्चरमा त्यसलाई प्रायोरिटी दिएको त्यहाँ छ। त्यसपछि अब जस्तो माइक्रो फाइनेन्सको कुरा गर्नुहुन्छ भने माइक्रो फाइनेन्सको टोटल लोन पोर्टफोलियो अहिले 5 खर्बको छ। त्यसको 60% प्लस 61% टु बी स्पेसिफिक अहिले डेटाले त्यो देखाउँछ। त्यो चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चरमा गएको छ भनेपछि अब नगएको होइन, गएको छ, तर त्यो चिज एकदम फ्रेगमेन्टेड वेमा गएको छ। त्यो चाहिँ आफूलाई सस्टेन गर्ने हिसाबले मात्रै गएको छ। सो वाट वी निड इज अ बिग फार्म इन्डस्ट्री। त्यो चाहिँ अब त्यसको लागि चाहिँ अब थोरै सानो उसले होइन, अब जस्तो इम्प्याक्ट इन्भेस्टर्सहरूको निड पनि छ। अब उहाँहरूले अब ठुल्ठुलो इन्डस्ट्रीहरू आइडेन्टिफाई गर्ने, जस्तो अदुवाको इन्डस्ट्री, अदुवाको जुन अघिको खेतीको कुरा गर्नुभयो, अदुवाकोमा उहाँहरूको एकदम स्केलेबल देखिरहेको छु मैले त्यो इन्डस्ट्री एज सच। अब त्यो चाहिँ त्यसलाई ग्रो गराउने, त्यसपछि उहाँहरूको पोटेन्सियल देखाइदिने त्यो काम त त्यो इम्प्याक्ट इन्भेस्टरहरूले पनि गर्नु पऱ्यो, अनि डेभलपमेन्ट एजेन्सीहरूले पनि गर्नु पऱ्यो। त्यसले गर्दा त्यो लोन चाहिँ बढेरै जान्छ भन्ने लाग्छ। त्यो भएकोले अब यदि कुनै हर्डल्स छ, जस्तो कुनै ब्याङ्कले चाहिँ रिसेन्टली फ्यु इयर्स ब्याक हामीले एउटै ब्याङ्कले 15 करोडसम्म पनि फाइन तिरेको छ एग्रिकल्चर सेक्टरमा लोन उसले नपुर्याएकोले। भनेपछि अब उसलाई पनि एकदम फिजिबल खालको उसलाई ल यो चाहिँ डुब्दैन भन्ने खालको कुनै प्रपोजल आएको भए उसले त दिन्थ्यो नि त। 15 करोड फाइन तिर्नुभन्दा त उसले सर्टेन लेभल त अचिभ गर्थ्यो नि। त्यसले गर्दा त्यो चिजहरू चाहिँ एज अ रेगुलेटर चाहिँ सर्टेन प्रोभिजन्सहरू राखेछ, तर अब त्यो प्रोभिजनहरू चाहिँ अब ब्याङ्कको सेक्टरबाट चाहिँ केही आउनु पऱ्यो, ताकि यो हर्डलको कारणले चाहिँ हामीले दिन सकेका छैन भन्ने चिज चाहिँ। अनि अघि त्यो उसको सहुलियतपूर्ण कर्जामा नै छ, जस्तो बेस रेट प्लस 1.5 मा दिने, त्यसपछि 3% को रिबेट पाउने, त्यो चिजहरू पनि युटिलाइज गर्न सकिन्छ। त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ एकदमै सस्तोमा चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चर को लोनहरू चाहिँ हुन्छ। अनि जस्तो प्रिमियम चाहिँ अलिकति हाई चार्ज गर्न पाउने भन्ने केसमा यदि त्यो प्रिमियम हाई चार्ज गर्यो भने चाहिँ उसको त्यो बिजनेस चाहिँ सस्टेनेबल हुन्छ कि हुँदैन, उसलाई त्यो कस्टिङले उसले बजारमा लगेर बेचेर अनिखेर तपाईँको ब्याजहरू तिरेर अनि उसलाई त्यो इन्डस्ट्रीमा बसिराख्नलाई चाहिँ मोटिभेट गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन त भन्ने चिज चाहिँ अलिकति क्यालकुलेटिङ गर्नु पर्ला जस्तो लाग्छ।
तर प्रोफेसरले भनेको कुरामा अलिकति पुशब्याक गर्दाखेरि नि, फर इक्जाम्पल होइन के भन्छ, हाम्रो जुन खालको यो रेगुलेटरी रेजिमकै म कुरा गर्न चाहन्छु फेरि होइन। अब अहिले पहिला चाहिँ कृषि विकास ब्याङ्क भनेर कृषिकै लागि छुट्टै बनाइएको थियो, त्यस्तै गरेर क्लिन इनर्जी ब्याङ्क भनेर क्लिन इनर्जीलाई छुट्टै ब्याङ्कहरू थियो कि नेपालमा। तर ठुलो चाँडो चाहिँ हाम्रो रेगुलेसनले के गर्दो रहेछ भने सबैलाई एउटै जात, एउटै वर्ण, एउटै कलर, एउटै खालको बनाइदिँदो रहेछ कि। सो सबैले आखिरमा दिने, मोटरसाइकललाई लोन दिने, गाडीलाई लोन दिने होइन। त्यो गर्दाखेरि नि इज देयर समथिङ नट फन्डामेन्टली ब्रोकन इन अ रेगुलेटरी रेजिम भन्न खोजेको क्या। भनेको के भने हामीलाई बिजुली चाहियो भने 30 वाटको चिम चाहिने कि 60 वाट चिम हामी छान्न सक्छौँ। त्यो समाउ व्हेन इट कम्स टु ब्याङ्क दे अल लुक अलाइक, दे अल एक्ट अलाइक, दे अल थिङ्क अलाइक होइन। भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब जब कि हाम्रो कन्ज्युमरको निड्स र एग्रिकल्चर निड्स डाइभर्स छ क्या। सो डाइभर्स निड्स नबुझिकन यु क्यान ह्याभ मेनी काइन्ड्स अफ आइसक्रिम एज लङ एज यु वान्ट भनिला भनेर दिएको जस्तो हो कि भनेर चाहिँ त्यसमा पुसब्याक गऱ्यो भने हाउ डु रेस्पोन्ड टु द्याट?
त्यो चाहिँ अब हामीले एज अ रेगुलेटर हामीले यो प्रोडक्ट नै ल्याऊ, यही यस्तै खालको गर भनेर इच एन्ड एभ्री टर्म्सहरू चाहिँ हामीले कोड गर्न थाल्यौँ भने फेरि त्यसमा माइक्रो म्यानेजमेन्ट भन्ने ब्लेम आउँछ, फेरि टाइम एन्ड अगेन आएकै हो। त्यसले गर्दा हामीले चाहिँ जुन त्यो प्रोडक्ट बनाउने त्यसलाई अब टेलर मेड प्रोडक्ट, त्यो सर्टेन एग्रिकल्चर प्रोडक्टहरूको लागि जस्तो सिजनल लोनहरू हुनसक्छ। अब मैले माइक्रो फाइनेन्सकै रेगुलरली अहिले रिसेन्टली म 4 वर्षदेखि माइक्रो फाइनेन्समा छु। टेलर मेड प्रोडक्टहरू केही पनि छैन। अब जस्तो एउटै प्रोडक्ट सबैलाई दिएको छ, अब न ग्रेस पिरियड छ, अनि ग्रेस पिरियड अलाउ गर्दाखेरि पनि अब सबैलाई ग्रेस पिरियड। अब कसैलाई त्यो गोट फार्मिङको लागि दिएको छ भने उसलाई पनि ग्रेस पिरियड छ, रेस्टुरेन्ट चलाउन दिएको छ, होटल चलाउन दिएको छ भने उसलाई पनि ग्रेस पिरियड छ भने चाहिँ कसलाई कस्तो लोन, जस्तो खेतीको लागि हो भने 6 महिनाको मात्र टर्म राखेर दिन सकिन्छ नि त त्यो लोन, तर उसलाई टर्म लोन दिएको छ। अब नेक्स्ट मन्थको फेरि उसको टाइम आइसक्छ, उसले भर्खर छर्या छ, उहाँ सिड उम्रिन पाएको छैन, उसले किस्ता बुझाउनलाई पैसा खोज्न हिँड्न परिसक्यो। त्यसले गर्दा त्यो सर्टेन चिजहरू चाहिँ टेलर मेड प्रोडक्टहरू जुन रिक्वायर्ड हुन्छ एग्रिकल्चरको लागि त्यो चिज चाहिँ मिसिङ छ। त्यो बनाउने काम त अभियसली ब्याङ्किङ सेक्टरकै भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ। त्यसले गर्दा अब ग्लोबल आइएमईकै होला सायद अघिको साथी एग्रिकल्चरकै सेक्टरबाट हुनुभएको रहेछ, गुड इनिसिएटिभ त्यो। किनभने तपाईँलाई जब 10%, 11% भन्दै तपाईँ ग्रेजुअली त्यो लेन्डिङ बढाउनु पर्ने छ भने त्यो एग्रिकल्चर बुझ्ने मान्छे त्यहाँ भयो भने न उसले प्रोडक्टिभिटी के हुन्छ, उसलाई कोही यत्तिकै म चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चर गर्छु भनेर आएर ऊ बुझ्दै नबुझेको मान्छेले ऱ्यान्डमली कुनै ब्याङ्कमा छिर्यो, म एग्रिकल्चरको लागि चाहिन्छ भनेर ब्याङ्क पनि फिटफिटी भएको छ, नत्र आज असारिन आउन लागिसक्यो, लेन्डिङ गर्ने भने त मेरो फेरि फाइन तिर्नुपर्छ भनेर आँखा चिम्लेर लेन्डिङ गर्नु भन्दा उसको रिक्वायरमेन्ट कति हो, के गर्न खोज्या हो, कति चाहिन्छ त्यसलाई भन्ने चिज चाहिँ बुझेको मान्छे त्यहाँ भएर लेन्डिङ गर्नु र यत्तिकै ऱ्यान्डमली गर्नुमा धेरै फरक पर्छ। त्यसले गर्दा त्यो चिजहरू क्रिएट गर्ने जिम्मा चाहिँ सम्बन्धित त्यो रिस्क टेकरकै हो, प्रफिट पनि उसैले खाने हो, रिस्क पनि उसैले लिनुपर्छ।
थ्याङ्क यू। फ्लोरमा पनि के क्वेसन छ भने हात उठेर राखौँ होइन। म एउटा क्वेसन काजुलजीलाई सोध्छु, त्यसपछि तपाईँको आउँला। सो काजुलजी तपाईँले अघि भन्नुभयो क्यापेसिटी ग्याप छ, फाइनेन्स ग्याप छ, हामी ट्रेनिङहरू दिइरहेको छौँ भनेर होइन। र यता ग्लोबल आइएमईको मित्रले के भन्नुभयो भने अब ब्याङ्केबल प्रोजेक्टहरू पनि छैन, 100 जनालाई भेट्यो भने 4-5 जना काम लाग्ने होला भनेर नि। सो देयर इज अ डर्थ अफ ब्याङ्केबल एग्री प्रोजेक्ट्स भनौँ न। सो तपाईँहरूको यो पनि मैले सोधेको, तपाईँहरूको यो पनि प्रोभिजन छ कि हो भाइ तपाईँको त्यत्रो 11,000 चाहिँ कोअपरेटिभ मेम्बर छन् होइन, ट्रेनिङ भइरहेको छ, यो भइरहेको छ, स्योरली यु मस्ट बी इन अ बिजनेस अफ फाइन्डिङ आउट बिजनेस अपर्च्युनिटिज भन्न खोज्छ क्या। तिमीहरू फलाउनु ब्याङ्कमा जाऊ होइन, अथवा के अरे तिमीहरू चाहिँ टिम भेन्चर्सका जाऊ, त्यहाँ पैसा छ, गो एन्ड टक टु देम भनेर त्यो खालको मिडवाइफिङ अथवा चाहिँ त्यो रोल हुन्छ नि जुन, ताकि मोर मनी फ्लोज इन्टु रियल बिजनेसेस। किन जुन तपाईँलाई जति थाहा छ त्यो त ग्लोबल आइएमईले थाहा हुँदैन होइन, टिम भेन्चरलाई पनि थाहा हुँदैन। त्यो खालको रोलतिर तपाईँहरू ग्रेजुएट गर्ने तपाईँको मनसाय छ कि, अथवा वी आर अब ट्रेड अर्गनाइजेसन हो, वी डु ट्रेनिङ, वी डु कम्प्लेन अबाउट द फाइनेन्स छैन भनेर त्यसमा मात्र अड्किरहनु भएको छ भनेर अलिकति पुसिङ ब्याक खालको क्वेसन सोधेँ मैले।
हस्, थ्याङ्क यू फर द क्वेसन। अब हामीले चाहिँ के गर्दैछौँ भने जस्तै सहकारी मार्फत चाहिँ जुन एग्री इन्टरप्राइजेसहरू गरिरहेछ त्यो चाहिँ इन्भेस्टर्सहरूको आँखामा परेको छैन जस्तो लाग्छ क्या, परेको छैन जस्तो लाग्छ। किनभने जस्तै हामीलाई इभन कोअपरेटिभले गरेको एग्री इन्टरप्राइजलाई रजिस्टर गर्न समेत पनि लिङ्गरिङ प्रोसेस छ क्या, यति लामो प्रोसेस छ होइन। त्यो एउटा छुट्टै पाटो भयो होइन, किनभने डकुमेन्टेसन नभइकन जस्तै ग्लोबल आइएमई ब्याङ्कमै जाँदाखेरि पनि डकुमेन्टेसनले बोल्ने हो नि त हाम्रो कुरो त, मान्छेलाई त चिन्दैन, तर त्यो डकुमेन्टेसन गर्दाखेरि नै हामीलाई एकदम गाह्रो भइरहेछ कि यो चाहिँ हरेक सहकारीबाट हामीले गुनासो सुनेको कुरो चाहिँ यो हो हैन। र त्यो हुँदाहुँदै पनि हामीलाई म चाहिँ अब एज अ कोअपरेटिभको रिप्रेजेन्टेटिभ भएर त्यो त सहकारीको रिप्रेजेन्टेटिभ भएर म यहाँ उभिएर चाहिँ जस्तै जति पनि इन्भेस्टर्सहरू छ प्लिज डु बिलिभ इन द कोअपरेटिभ्स अल्सो कि किनभने हाम्रो सानो किसान विकास ब्याङ्क पनि यहाँ छ होइन। उहाँहरू एज अ सिस्टर अर्गनाइजेसन एनएसएसएफएलको सिस्टर अर्गनाइजेसन उहाँहरूले आफ्नो लेभलबाट फाइनेन्सियल्ली हाम्रो सहकारीलाई हेल्प गरिरहनु भएको छ। र यो सानो किसान कृषि सहकारी भनेको चाहिँ एउटा छुट्टै मोडल हो होइन। हामीले चाहिँ यो मोडललाई चाहिँ अब हजुरलाई अहिले अब मैले कति बुझाउन सक्छु होइन। यो चाहिँ एउटा छुट्टै मोडल हो र यसलाई पनि अलिकति बिलिभ गरिदिनु भनेर चाहिँ म भन्न चाहन्छु। र हाम्रो मेन अब प्रब्लम मैले अघि भनिहालेँ आँखामा परेको छैन र जति पनि इन्भेस्टर्सहरू छ यस दे आर दि प्रफिटेबल वान होइन। तर कोअपरेटिभलाई पनि बिलिभ गरेर कोअपरेटिभले चलाएको त्यो किसानले चलाएको जुन एग्री इन्टरप्राइजलाई पनि अगाडि बढाउनको लागि चाहिँ अब I really request all the investors.
Okay. हाम्रो एभरेस्ट हिमालयन एभरेस्ट इन्सुरेन्स फर्मबाट तपाईँको क्विक क्वेसन पाउनु।
अर्कोलाई दोष देखाउन खोजेको होइन, त्यो प्रश्नको उद्देश्य चाहिँ होइन। लेन्डिङ गर्ने संस्था हुनुहुन्छ, रेगुलेटर हुनुभएको छ, दुइटैको ट्राभलिङमा डिफ्रेन्स छ भन्ने पनि यही कुरा आयो सर। भनेको के भने लोन यहाँ बगिरहेछ, माग्ने मान्छे यहाँ उभिएछ, यो किन भएन भन्ने कुरा गर्दा कम्युनिकेसनको ग्याप भयो। कम्युनिकेसनको पार्ट त सबभन्दा पहिले हायर अथोरिटीमा जान्छ होइन। राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले नीति निकाल्छ, एकचोटि सूचना चाहिँ दिन्छ, तर के ग्रास लेभलमा यस्तो यस्तो चिज पनि हुन्छ है भन्ने सूचना प्रवाह गर्ने बैङ्कको दायित्व मात्र हो कि निकायले त्यसलाई होइन यसरी तपाईँले कमसेकम सूचना त निकाल्नुपर्छ भन्ने हो कि? मैले किन जोडेँ भने हामी सबैजना आफ्नो सेक्टरमा भुक्तभोगी छौँ है। हामीले यो कारणले यो चिज भएन चाहिँ भन्छौँ, तर यो कारणलाई समाधान गर्नलाई मैले यो पहल गर्दैछु, यहाँहरूले के पहल गरिदिनुहुन्छ भन्ने जस्तो प्लेटफर्म खोज्न चाहिँ हेफर नै चाहिने हो त, उहाँले नै बोलाउने टेबल चाहिने हो त होइन जस्तो लाग्छ है। किनभने यही कुरा गर्न हामी इन्डिभिजुअल कहीँ गयो भने भेरी स्याड, हामी बसेर छलफल गर्न चाहँदैनौँ जुन हाम्रो रेगुलर लिगभन्दा फरक छ र तत्कालीन हाम्रो आवश्यकता फुलफिल नगर्ने टार्गेट छ भने हामीले 5 वर्षको कल्पना गरेर छलफल चाहिँ गर्दैनौँ है। यो हाम्रो कल्चरमा भएको चिज हो। त्यसैले मैले के चाहेँ भने अहिलेकै कुरामा राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले यसमा चाहिँ पब्लिक लेभलमा सूचना प्रवाह गर्नलाई नीति नियमले कहीँ रोकेको छैन भने त्यो गर्न मिल्ला कि 80% कर्जा पाउँछ यो यस्तो हो भन्ने कुरा गर्न मिल्छ कि मिल्दैन भन्ने मात्र जिज्ञासा हो है सर।
यो जिज्ञासा राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले
पक्कै मिल्छ नमिल्ने भन्ने हुँदैन। त्यो चिज चाहिँ हाम्रो फाइनेन्सियल लिटरेसी भनेर एभ्री ट्युसडे हामी सोसल मिडियाहरूतिरबाट चाहिँ आइरहेका हुन्छौँ। अब बेला बेलामा यो हाम्रो गभर्नर कार्यालयबाट त्यो एडहरू पनि रोल आउट गरिरह नै हुन्छ। तर अब ठ्याक्कै यही नै चिज अब जस्तो त्यहाँबाट हेर्ने पनि थुप्रै चिजहरू हुन्छ, एग्रिकल्चरको पनि लोन हुन्छ है भन्ने चिज एउटा पार्ट भयो होइन। त्यो हिसाबले अब फ्रिक्वेन्सी प्रत्येकको कति हुन्छ त्यो आफ्नो ठाउँमा छ, तर इन्फर्मेसन त फ्लो गरिरहेको नै हुन्छ।
मैले अलिकति थपेँ सरलाई नै सपोर्ट गरेर राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले पनि माइक काम गरिरहेछ। राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले पनि लाइक रेगुलरली इभन फेसबुक थ्रु पनि सूचना दिइरह हुनुहुन्छ फाइनेन्सियल लिटरेसी नै भनेर, त्यसमा नो डाउट। अलिकति सरले भन्नुभएको कुरामा मैले थप जोड्न चाहिँ चाहेँ। अहिले सुरुमा अलिकति च्यालेन्ज हडलकै कुरा थियो, त्यही सेरोफेरोमा भने अब अलिकति म 2 मिनट ब्याङ्कले के गर्दैछ भन्ने हिसाबले र के गरिरहेछ भन्ने कुरा हाइलाइट गर्छु। ब्याङ्कले अब म काम गरिरहेको ब्याङ्क इभन अरू ब्याङ्कले पनि, यो मैले मात्रै गरिरहेको छु भन्न खोजेन होइन, सबै ब्याङ्कले एउटा कन्डुसिभ इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा सबै ग्रो गर्न सक्ने, बजार ग्रो गर्यो भने ब्याङ्क ग्रो हुने हो, त्यो रियलाइजेसन ब्याङ्कमा डेफिनेटली छ। विशेष गरेर एग्री सेक्टर भनेको हाम्रो कुनै पनि प्रोसेसिङ युनिटको होस् अथवा कन्जम्सनको लागि होस् त्यो त मेन सोर्स नै हो। सो एग्रीलाई ब्याङ्कहरूले सपोर्ट इभन राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले पनि म्यान्डेटरी गरेको छ, सँगसँगै एग्रीलाई सपोर्ट नगर्ने भन्ने त त्यो कुरै हुँदैन। हामीले सरले अहिले मेन्सन पनि गर्नुभयो कि एग्री एक्सपर्ट नै हायर गरेका छौँ, द रेगुलर स्टाफ, र इन्टरनल्ली हरेक क्रपको हरेक यो लाइभ स्टकको कस्तो खाले निड हुन्छ, कस्तो खाले क्यास फ्लो हुन्छ र कसरी कुन समयमा रिपे गर्न सक्छ कस्टमरले भन्ने मोडालिटी हाम्रो इन्टरनल अक्रस द नेसन स्टाफहरूले देख्न सक्ने हिसाबले हाम्रो इन्टरनल त्यो इन्ट्रानेटमा प्रष्ट राखेका हुन्छौँ। त्यो चाहिँ एज नलेज डकुमेन्ट, किनकि सबै हाम्रो रिलेसनसिप अफिसरहरू एग्री ब्याकग्राउन्डबाट हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने छैन, उहाँहरूलाई नलेज त चाहियो। त्यो नलेज ग्याप, अहिले मैले अलिकति नलेज ग्यापको पनि कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ, त्यो नलेजको लागि हामीले चिर्दै जाने कसरी भन्ने हिसाबले गएका छौँ। सरले भनेको कुरामा हामीले ब्याङ्क आफैले मिसन 2030 भनेर 2030 सस्टेनेबल गोलको हिसाबले पनि अलाइन हुने हिसाबले हाम्रो आफ्नो मिसन 2030 छ, त्यसमा एग्रीलाई कसरी लिने, त्यसको अप्रोच के राख्ने भन्ने स्ट्राटेजिक अलाइनमेन्ट छ। मिनवाइल स्ट्राटेजीले मात्रै काम दिने देखिया छैन, मिन्स पोलिसीमा जति लेखे पनि त्यो ग्राउन्ड लेभलमा रियल रिफ्लेक्सन हुन सकेन भने त्यो अवस्थामा प्रोडक्टिभिटी आउनेवाला छैन। अनि अर्को प्रब्लम नै भनौँ एउटा, लोन बढ्दैमा प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढाएको छैन। लोन त 10% 11% त हरेक ब्याङ्कले प्रायः पुर्याएको छन्, तर रियल प्रोडक्टिभिटी जिडिपीमा कन्ट्रिब्युसन हेऱ्यो भनेदेखि एग्रीको कन्ट्रिब्युसन घट्दै गएको छ। सो यसको अलाइनमेन्ट मिलाउनको लागि पनि मिल्नको लागि पनि हामीलाई बढी अहिले च्यालेन्ज भइरह्यो भने चाहिँ लोनको युटिलाइजेसन पार्टमा हो। इफ युटिलाइजेसन प्रपर छ भने त्यसले प्रोडक्टिभिटी दिन सक्छ। र अहिले रामु सरले पनि एड्रेस गर्नुभयो, मेबी जो रियल स्मल होल्डर फार्मर हुनुहुन्छ उहाँसम्म नपुग्या हो कि अथवा सम इस्यु छ, त्यसलाई नै ओभरकम गर्ने भन्ने उद्देश्यले हामीले चाहिँ एउटा यो नलेज साइडमा काम भयो भने अर्को चाहिँ हामीले इकोसिस्टम बेसिसमा काम गर्नुपर्छ। मिन्स यहाँ डिफ्रेन्ट एजेन्सीहरूले हाइलाइट गरिरहेको कुरा नि त्यही हो जस्तो लाग्छ। अल्टिमेटली त त्यो उत्पादन हुनु पनि पर्यो, त्यो मार्केटमा नि पुग्नु पर्यो र टिल त्यसको अल्टिमेट कन्ज्युमरसम्म पुगेर अनि फेरि क्यास फ्लोमा साइकल घुम्नु पर्यो। त त्यो साइकल घुम्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन भनेर अब हाम्रो अप्रोच चाहिँ लाइक वान काउन्टर पार्टीसँग मात्रै डिल गरेर, वान काउन्टर पार्टीसँग मात्रै उसको मात्रै फाइनेन्सियल हेरेर होल इकोसिस्टम बुझ्न सकिँदैन कि भन्ने रियलाइजेसनमा पुगेका छौँ। र त्यसलाई बुझ्नको लागि हामीले इन्टरनली अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ एग्री एसएमई भनेर यो एज नलेज डकुमेन्ट सबै स्टाफलाई पढ्नको लागि हेर्नको लागि त्यो इनडेप्थ रिसर्च भने हाम्रो आफ्नो कन्टेक्स्टमा, मार्केट रिसर्च अर्कै भयो, आफ्नो कन्टेक्स्टमा यसलाई चाहिँ कसरी इम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्न सकिन्छ भने इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन प्लानहरू ती सबै छन्। काम यो इफोर्ट गर्न थालिसकेपछि रिफ्लेक्सन पनि हुन थालेको छ। दो सरले राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कबाट हेर्दा पर्सेन्ट चाहिँ बढ्दैन, स्टिल अझै पर्सेन्ट चाहिँ बढ्दैन। पर्सेन्ट बढ्दैन भन्नुको अर्थ त्यो 10बाट 11% पुर्याउनु नि इट इज टु टफ, तर रियल त्यसको प्रोडक्टिभिटी चाहिँ म्यापिङ गर्न सकियोस् भन्ने हो। रियल 10% साँच्चै कृषिमा उत्पादन बढ्ने हो भनेदेखि त्यसैले ठुलो हुन्छ। डिएसएलमा 5% भने सर एकदमै ठुलो हो, एकदमै ठुलो हो।
सो तपाईको क्वेशन क्विक छोटो
थ्याङ्क यू आस्तो सर। म चाहिँ थोरै ब्याकग्राउन्डसँग जोडेर भन्छु, थोरै मात्र एकदम ब्रिफ। मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ सेन्ट्रल ब्याङ्क सरलाई छ। म चाहिँ सञ्जीव पन्थी रिप्रेजेन्ट गर्छु अस्ट्रेलियन एनजिओलाई। हामीले बिहानदेखि अथवा दिउँसोदेखि सुनिरहेको कुरा धेरै यो फन्डहरू कुरा अनसोर फन्डको कुरा छ। हामी चाहिँ हाम्रो फन्ड चाहिँ अफसोरमा छ। हामी सोसल पर्पज अर्गनाइजेसन हो, इम्प्याक्ट इन्भेस्टमेन्टमा काम गर्छौँ। हामी एफर्टदेखि काम गर्ने भने पछिल्लो 2 वर्षदेखि फोरमहरूमा जोडिएको छ, ब्रेक थ्रु आइरहेको छैन। अनि हाम्रो फन्डमा चाहिँ के छ भन्दा जस्तो हामी ब्याङ्कसँग पार्टनर गऱ्यौँ, मैले जान्न खोजेको कुरा चाहिँ त्यसमा चाहिँ पार्टनरसिप गर्दाखेरि जस्तो फन्ड फ्लो भनौँ न अफसोरबाट अनसोरमा आउने भयो, यदि क्रेडिट ग्यारेन्टीको लागि क्लेम गर्नुभयो भने अर्को चाहिँ यहाँबाट फेरि अफसोर जाने होला, केही म्यानेजमेन्ट फीको कुराहरू छ। यसमा चाहिँ राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कको प्रोभिजन कतिको के छ, ल्याटेस्ट प्रोभिजन अथवा कतिको गाह्रो सजिलो के छ त्यो बुझौँ भने। अर्को चाहिँ सरलाई चाहिँ क्रेडिट ग्यारेन्टीको जुन ट्रिगरिङ पोइन्ट चाहिँ अलिकति हजुरले भन्नुभयो, तर एक्ज्याक्ट ट्रिगर पोइन्ट हजुरले ब्याङ्कलाई कसरी गर्नुहुन्छ कुन पोइन्टमा भनेर बुझ्न खोजेँ। हस्, थ्याङ्क यू।
लास्ट एउटा क्वेसन पछाडिबाट तपाईँको गुरुबाबा बहुउद्देश्य। तपाईँको छोटो प्रश्न गरोस् है, प्रश्नको पछाडि प्रश्नवाचक चिन्ह हुनु।
धन्यवाद सर। हामी यहाँ सबैजना एग्रिकल्चरलाई क्याटलाइजिङ कसरी गर्ने भनेर छलफल गरेको हुनाले, सबै स्टेक होल्डरहरू भएको हुनाले मैले समग्रमा क्वेसन राखेँ। अहिले चाहिँ लिक्विडिटी प्रब्लम सबै ब्याङ्किङ सेक्टरमा इन्स्टिट्युसनमा छ, सहकारीमा पनि छ नै, र लगानी भएको लोनलाई हेर्दाखेरि त्यो रियली एग्रिकल्चरमा भएपछि जेडिपीमा इन्क्रिज हुनुपर्ने त्यो रियालिटीमा छैन, सबैलाई महसुस भएकै छ। यसको मतलब यो चाहिँ एनदर सेक्टरमा लगानी भएको छ इन्डाइरेक्टली भन्ने कुरा बुझिन्छ। र यो सबै यो लगानी लिक्विडिटी प्रब्लम हुँदै गर्दा हामीले रियलमा कृषिमा लगानी गर्ने गरी इनपुट सिस्टममा चाहिँ गरेनौँ कि? एनजिओ आइएनजिओहरू नेपाल सरकारको लगानीहरू धेरै हेर्दाखेरि यो पहिला चाहिँ एग्रिकल्चर मोडर्नाइजेसन प्राइम मिनिस्टर प्रोजेक्ट छँदाखेरि विभिन्न कृषि उपकरणहरूमा लगानी भयो। एकजनाको घरमा एउटा पावर टिलर छ जुन वर्षभरि ठन्केरै बस्ने गर्छ, उसको 50% पनि लस भएको छ कृषकको आफ्नै, र सरकारको पनि लस भइरहेछ। हामीले त्यसलाई अझ क्याटलाइज गर्ने गरी इनपुट सेक्टरमा काम गरेपछि ऋण लगानी अटोमेटिक बढ्छ, जिडिपीमा पनि इन्क्रिज हुन्छ होला। थ्याङ्क यू।
यो कमेन्ट भयो हैन, बेसिकली सरको त्यो
सरले जुन यो फन्ड आउने अनि फन्ड रिभर्ट ब्याक गर्दाखेरिको प्रोभिजनहरूको कुरा गर्नुभयो, त्यो चिज चाहिँ कुनै पनि ब्याङ्क वित्तीय संस्थाले चाहिँ विदेशबाट फन्ड कुनै पनि शीर्षकमा कुनै पनि कारणको लागि लिन्छ भने त्यो चाहिँ राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कको स्वीकृति लिनुपर्छ भन्ने व्यवस्था छ। अब त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको लागि रिभर्ट ब्याक गर्ने बेलामा जस्तो अघि थियो उसले गर्ने नै एनपिआरमै गर्ने, एनपिआरमै सेटल गर्ने भन्ने जुन प्रोभिजन सरको केसमा अस्ट्रेलियन उताबाट आउँछ नि, अस्ट्रेलियनमै फेरि उसले फिर्ता लिएर जाने भयो। त्यसले गर्दा सरको कस्तो खालको एग्रिमेन्ट हुन्छ अनि सरको जुन एक्सन कस्तो खालको मोडालिटीमा काम हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ क्लियरली त्यो संस्थासँग गरेर अनि रेगुलेसनको एप्रुभल राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कसँग लिनै पर्छ। त्यो लिइसकेपछि अनि त्यो यदि जेन्युनली खालको ट्रान्जेक्सन छ भने अनि नेपालको इकोनोमीको लागि एकदम सपोर्टिभ हुने खालको कुनै कामहरू छ भने त्यसलाई त सपोर्ट नै गर्छ, त्यो एग्रिमेन्टमा डिपेन्ड गर्छ सर। त्यो अप्रुभल चाहिँ मसँग यो संस्थाले यसरी एग्रिमेन्ट गरेको छ त्यसको लागि अप्रुभल पाऊँ भनेर संस्था आउँछ। हामी डाइरेक्टली तपाईँहरूसँग त्यो एनजिओसँग डिल गर्दैनौँ, त्यो संस्थासँग एग्रिमेन्ट गरेर ऊ आउँछ।
हाम्रो यो प्यानल डिस्कसनको झन्डै 50 मिनट जति थियो, 50औं मिनट पुग्ला छौँ हामी हैन। क्विकली समराइज गर्दाखेरि
अहिले एउटा क्वेसन मलाई पनि सोध्नु भएको जस्तो लाग्थ्यो हैन, क्रेडिट ग्यारेन्टीको ट्रिगर पोइन्ट भनेर। अहिले जति पनि नयाँ प्रोडक्टहरू हाम्रो डेभलप भइरहेछ त्यसको ट्रिगर पोइन्ट भनेको सबस्ट्यान्डर्डबाटै स्टार्ट भएको छ। सबस्ट्यान्डर्डबाट स्टार्ट भएर डाउटफुल पुगुन्जेलसम्म चाहिँ यु क्यान क्लेम। अहिलेको नयाँ प्रोडक्टको केसमा होइन, जस्तो हामीले जति पनि नयाँ प्रोडक्टहरू डेभलप गऱ्यौँ, तर पुरानो केसमा चाहिँ मच्युरिटी भइसकेपछि मात्र ट्रिगर हुने कुरा गरेको छ, मच्युरिटी सकिएको कति पोइन्टपछि भन्ने छ। बट अघि भर्खर मैले उहाँलाई पनि भनेको थिएँ हामीले त्यो पोलिसी चेन्ज गर्न खोजिरहेको छ। मैले एटलिस्ट ट्रिगर पोइन्ट चाहिँ सब स्ट्यान्डर्डबाटै होस् भनेर चाहिँ हामीले चेन्ज गर्न खोजिरहेको थियौँ। द्याट इज एन ट्रेडिसनल एप्रोच कि त्यसमा चाहिँ क्याबिनेट थ्रु जानुपर्छ, मेबी टाइम कन्ज्युमिङ हुनसक्छ। नयाँमा अब आउने प्रोडक्ट र नयाँ प्रोडक्ट जति पनि छ त्यसको ट्रिगर पोइन्ट चाहिँ सब स्ट्यान्डर्डबाट नै सुरु गर्छ हामीहरूको चाहिँ। यस्तो भयो, अब सब स्ट्यान्डर्ड भन्ने बित्तिकै आई थिङ्क 3 महिनाबाट स्टार्ट भयो, 3 देखि 6 महिनाको बिचमा तपाईँले विदिन 6 महिनामा क्लेम गर्न पाइहाल्यो होइन। हाम्रो डिसिजिएफसँग क्लेम गरेको आई थिङ्क हामीले कतिमा चाहिँ 6 महिना राखेछौँ, कतिमा 1 इयरको पिरियड राखेछौँ। आई थिङ्क ब्याङ्क अल्सो सुड बी रेस्पोन्सिबल भन्ने कुरा हो नि त होइन। ब्याङ्कमा चाहिँ लस बनाइराख्ने नमाग्ने भन्ने कुरा पनि नराख्ने होइन। सब स्ट्यान्डर्डदेखि डाउटफुल हुने बित्तिकै यु क्यान क्लेम भन्ने चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ छ। विदिन 1 इयरको टाइम चाहिँ एउटामा, कतिमा 6 महिनाको, आई थिङ्क एउटामा 6 महिनाको, एउटा 1 इयरको टाइम गरेको छौँ हामीले। हजुर एक्ज्याक्टली पारी पशु बेसिसमा फिर्ता गर्नु पऱ्यो। जस्तो यदि हामीसँग 70% कभरेज गरेछ भनेपछि उहाँहरूले जति पैसा उठाउँछ नि त्यसको 70% हामीलाई 30% उहाँलाई त्यसरी चाहिँ जानुपर्ने हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा। यदि 100% दिएछ भने चाहिँ उहाँले हामीलाई 100% दिनुपर्छ भन्ने कुराहरू भयो। हुन्छ हस् थ्याङ्क यू।
हामीले दिएको टाइम अलमोस्ट सकिन लाग्छ। म क्विकली समराइज गर्छु। सो कुरा के आयो भन्दाखेरि भ्याल्यू अफ डेथमा चाहिँ हाम्रो एग्री इन्टरप्राइजेसहरू जानको कारण चाहिँ क्यापेसिटीको प्रब्लम छ, फाइनेन्सको प्रब्लम छ, स्केलेबल छैनन् होइन। हाम्रो अब ब्याङ्किङ सिस्टममा पनि उहाँहरू अब कल्चर बुझ्दै हुनुहुन्छ, मान्छेहरू ल्याएर के हो कसो भनेर। बट स्टिल मोर वर्क निड्स टु बी डन। रिस्कहरू धेरै छ, तर डिसिजिएफले जुन खालको रिस्क मिटिगेटिङ इन्स्ट्रुमेन्टहरू ल्याएको छ त्यसको लागि पनि धेरै अब प्रचार गर्नुभएको छ आज। त्यो सबै इन्स्ट्रुमेन्टहरू छ। डिस्पाइट द्याट फन्ड फ्लो भइरहेको छैन। अब राष्ट्र ब्याङ्कले पनि बेसिकली उहाँहरूले के भन्नुभएको छ भने एग्रिकल्चरमा 10-12% हुनुपर्छ भनेर ब्याङ्कहरूलाई उहाँहरूले पनि एक किसिमले प्रेसरै दिइरहनु भएको छ र कतिले फाइन पनि तिरेको छन्। त्यो आफ्नो थाहा छँदैछ। र अब एग्रिकल्चर पनि हामीले सायद सब्सिस्टेन्स फार्मिङबाट अब इन्डस्ट्रियल फार्मिङतिर बिस्तारै जानुपर्छ। त्यो जानलाई मेकानिजम्सहरू के हो भन्ने कुरा पनि सायद अब यो बृहत डिस्कसन हुनुपर्छ होला बेसिकली भनेर। तर आजको मूल सार मलाई के लाग्यो भन्दाखेरि वी आर स्टिल वर्किङ टुगेदर, तर त्यो रिजल्ट आइसकेको छैन हातमा पर्ने रिजल्ट, तर वर्क इज स्टिल अन्डर वे। र त्यसको लागि अब हेफर जस्ता संस्थाहरूलाई पनि हामीले धन्यवाद दिनुपर्छ। सो एट लिस्ट वी आर इन द जर्नी टुगेदर भनेर भनौँ न। थ्याङ्क यू सो मच।
Before you guys head out, I'd like to call Miss Neena Joshi to hand out some token of love. Along with our panelists, we would also like to call Mr. Baluram Chowdhury, Mr. Tenzin Gonsar, Mr. Nishant Khanal, Mr. Dhruva Paudel, and Ms. Santona Malakar. Ladies and gentlemen, today's discussions have shown that Nepal's agricultural transformation depends not only on innovation at the farm level, but also on stronger finance, partnerships, and systems. The ideas shared here have the potential to shape new investments, partnerships, and opportunities for farmers, cooperatives, and enterprises across the country. Before you head out, we have a QR displayed on the screen which has all access to finance and Heifer-related documents. You can access that through the QR. And we also have some stickers at the back if you would like to take some before you head out. Thank you all for your active participation and valuable contributions. We look forward to continuing these conversations beyond today's event. Safe travels and have a wonderful evening. Dinner is also being served downstairs, and before dinner, soft drinks are being served outside, so you can take it.